Too long I've been parched of thirst and unable to quench it. Too long I've been starving to death and haven't died. I feel nothing. Not the wind on my face, nor the spray of the sea, nor the warmth of a woman's flesh. You best start believing in ghost stories, Miss Turner. You're in one.
Welcome, everybody.
Arr.
Howdy.
Arr.
Arg.
We are live.
Unbelievable.
We're not but humble
Or-
pirates here.
Or as the Soviet
be
pirates
humble.
would say, our.
Shiver me timbers, we're here.
There are going to be so many bad jokes tonight. I'm here for it.
There
I'm
I
ready.
have
I'm
only
ready.
heard
Are
amazing
you
ones thus
ready?
far.
Good evening.
But yes,
Jared.
there
How
will
you
be
doing?
lots of puns. You might say we have this movie pegged.
We've
Don't
reached
put
this
my leg
level,
like
and
that.
I've
How-
only started to speak now. Wow.
Don't
How
walk
else,
the
how else
plank.
do you think we're gonna hook the viewers?
Well, you know what? If you come behind the dumpster with me, viewers, I
Oh,
got something that's going to change your life. Believe me. Believe me.
We're going to be here for 4.5 hours, and it's going to be 3 hours of bad jokes.
And then the movie will start.
We'll
Just
talk about
three.
20 minutes worth of this
I
movie.
mean,
Well,
all we need to do
as
is
long
shove
as
Beard
we
in
are,
the cannon and just shoot him out.
Yeah.
As long as we are
Guys, you
shipshape.
know,
Yes.
Hey, I mean, yeah, after all, the first Pirates movie is canon.
I wrote a little headline for this one for my take. You ready? A mysterious medallion, a lying monkey, a cursed ancient treasure. Welcome to our review of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
My name's the monkey.
No movies were hurt making this movie, but several movies were used. I found parts of Raiders, all forms of Robin Hood, and a little bit of Last of the Mohegans, especially in the fight in the town. But this is a good movie. It's a lot of fun.
Well, this.
Hey, you know
it is a
why no
swashbuckling
married
movie, so-
couples? You know why no married couples ever went to Raiders of the Lost Ark for a first date? Because bad dates.
Oh,
That was
But
bad.
the overall
Yeah,
arc
it
of
was
these movies has a
terrible. I
good
didn't
marriage
even word
arc
it
too, right? Because like we get to a point where our heroes, some of them get married, right? And like his decision is, well, if I get married, I'll only have to see her once every 10 years for a few hours at low tide.
That's a great deal.
That's our ultimate destiny of our great love story
Look,
here.
Look, all right, we're here to talk about the first movie, not the other two, because the rest of them are. Anyway, sorry, Jacob.
I like the second one.
how are you doing, Beard?
I'm doing pretty good, and as y'all already saw in preparation for this, I was running some AI stuff and accidentally stumbled across something that kind of looks like me.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
It's a
Show
little
it.
bit weird, so I'm not sure I really
like
want to
it.
show
I
that.
like
It's strange, but
It's
yeah,
uncanny.
yeah, it is. I'm looking forward to getting into this. This is a movie I didn't even need to revisit. I've seen it many times. I really enjoyed it, but I did run through it today. Admittedly, kind of last minute at 2x speed because I lost track of time arguing with somebody on X. But we don't need to get into that. So we'll just
Yeah,
stick
I'm
with the
sorry
fun
about
part.
that, but,
Yeah,
just accept my facts next time.
Yeah, okay, I will. But yeah, we're here to just have fun with this because this is a fun movie. It's kind of a throwback to the old Disney adventure films, but we'll get into more details in a minute.
Yes.
Like
And the
Swiss
first
Family
time on the
Robinson.
show.
I love this
Love it
series. This
ever
is so
after.
amazing. So many great jokes and humor in it. And there's just golden nuggets everywhere of treasure that follow along into the other movies. I know we're talking about the first, but there's stuff in this one that lines up what happens in the second and the third. So it's just such a big payoff. I love this series.
Yep. And returning the jolliest pirate of them all, the Gourd King.
Yeah. How y'all doing? Yeah, I also am a pretty big fan of this movie. Saw it thrice in movie theaters. I like the first three movies. As far as I'm concerned, those are canon. And the other two, no, they suck. But this is the best one by far in a way. And it's one of the I mean, it's kind of remarkable to look at Disney now and contrast it with this movie. I mean, this is a film that never should have worked because it's based on a theme park ride, and yet it's one of the best adventure movies ever made, as far as I'm concerned. It's freaking awesome. It has an incredible performance by Johnny Depp. Yeah, this is an excellent film. I'm excited to talk about it.
Yep, definitely.
Agreed.
And
Agreed.
welcome.
Agreed.
Teak has been on the Saturday show that I used to have, but welcome Teague to the main show.
Thank you so much for having me to talk about this great movie that inspired my YouTube name. I go by Admiral Teague because Keith Richards, who plays Johnny Depp's father in subsequent films, is Captain Teague. So I figured Admiral, a little more pizzazz to it. And I've always liked this movie. And I think this is absolutely Natalie Portman's best performance by far. By far. As Padme, a bit wooden. The Professional, maybe a slice better of a movie, but we're talking about a different level of reality there. With this, I think that this is possibly Natalie Portman's very best performance. And it's almost like a different person. But, of course, you look at her and it's absolutely Natalie Portman. She looks, those unmistakable dusky eyes, that beautiful pepper pot that is Natalie Port person. And I think her hair, they say, had been extended from a previous role. I can only imagine it's V is for Vendetta or something like that. But she is great in this. And, it's a shame she didn't do more.
I don't even know.
The joke here, people, is just that I'll just let it out of the bag so no one else has to do it. Like both Natalie Portman and at different times in the Phantom Menace, Keira Knightley play Padme, because Keira Knightley has a cologne. She's Keira Knightley cologne of Natalie Port person. And they expose this in one of the most dramatic scenes in all of Star Wars history, where we have gravitas and just exuding the great character of Boss Nass, where she steps in front of Keira Knightley and says, "I, Natalie Port person, and Padme." And I wonder if George Lucas may have cast the wrong Padme, but I would say by maybe 10%, Keira Knightley is a better actress, but they really do resemble each other a lot.
I wear Keira Knightley cologne. It smells terrible.
It's the essence of the sea.
I think it's an essence of something else, but we'll get past that.
Well, you're probably thinking the essence of the sea, but the letter rather than the body of water.
Yeah, that's the essence of the CU next Tuesday.
And welcome to Untamed Mando, the pirate. Arr.
Yes. I was gonna have a cool pirate themed background, but life happens. Haha. So,
you didn't get arrested again, did you?
No, I did not get arrested. I did not burn somebody's house down. I did not. What was the other thing that I am being accused wrongly of? Burning people's houses. I mean,
It's mostly just setting people on fire that you're accused of.
There's some people who owe me some money. Talk to me after the show.
Wait a minute. Are you the girl? Are you the girl that points to the fire and says, "That wasn't me"? I'm watching it burn.
Just because I just so happened to be holding the blowtorch while my friend was doing something and she happened to catch on fire, it's not my fault.
I say lean into it like Jack did his crimes. Just like, oh, yeah,
I've been to jail. I don't need more reasons to go back to jail, okay? Yes, I've been to jail. I got arrested. And my welcome to the rebellion
Let's see
shirt.
who's in the chat.
Oh, my Lord.
Mama Badger.
Mama Badger.
Welcome.
Hello.
Savvy.
Yo, Jay Goodwin.
John Richards. I think you are new to the show. Welcome.
I have streamed with Problematic White Guy before. He's a cool dude.
Howdy.
Yeah.
Not streamed. We hung out with Enzo together. We weren't actually streaming. So I don't remember. Did we actually get on stream? I don't remember.
And Sammy Threepeat, who doesn't have any R's in his name, so I can't.
Boo!
Look, we're just honored to have you here, Sammy, because we know you're doing like 5 streams a night overlapping.
Mhm.
So thank you for taking time.
Yes.
And Boosh, welcome.
Boosh.
Talk.
Ahoy, boo.
Hey.
And
Also, Jay Goodwin, sir.
good evening, Jay
Sir,
Goodwin.
I do not start every single fire, okay? Just because the fire department knows my address does not mean anything.
You just have a faulty oven, you know? You can't help it.
Yeah. My fire alarm just goes off a lot.
Some people row boats, some people pyro boats, you know? I mean, there's 2 different kinds.
Some people sail their boats underwater.
Yeah.
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 It's true. The Flying Dutchman.
Alrighty.
Hey, I'm sorry, but when a fireman comes and picks you up, you'll fall hard, okay?
Do you have the punch card?
Who
too?
has what's
I don't
y'all's
have one.
favorite character in this movie?
You mean beyond Jack Sparrow? I mean, because I kind of feel like he's
Right?
the only
Yeah.
correct choice.
Okay. He steals the show, but I think probably honestly
I
it's
don't
gonna
think
be
he
split
steals it. He
between.
is the show. I mean,
Yeah, he is the show, but I think
The dog.
of the
Yeah.
main 3, those are the easy choices. But outside of those, I would say, and I don't remember their names, the 2 comedy duo pirates, the one eye and the bald guy.
Yeah.
Basically,
yeah.
the
Well,
guy,
to me,
the guy from
Barbosa's the
British.
second best character by far. I
Well,
think
yes.
it's Jack and
Yes,
Barbosa are the
Barbosa.
top 2.
Yes,
But
but I mean, outside
without
like the
question.
main ones, I do agree. Barbosa is fantastic, but outside the main ones, I think
it's
guy
Pinto
from-
Spaghetti.
Become a
I think
Henry
me.
Rush is
the-
great.
the guy from British Office and the other guy who actually played a taxi driver on an episode of Seinfeld back in the day. Those 2, that comedy duo.
Pinto and Rigetti. Those are
Yeah.
their names.
Those other than like the main cast, those 2 guys, fantastic.
Oh, I don't know. I actually like Norrington a lot. I think he's a very underrated character. And as I think he actually to me
Agree.
has arguably after Jack, arguably has the best arc of the trilogy. I really like what they do with him from the
Okay.
first movie to the third.
Of the
I mean,
And even
trilogy,
in this movie, I
Bloom.
like him.
Yeah,
of the
Orlando Bloom has a
trilogy,
payoff.
yes. I don't like everything they did with the trilogy because much like the Matrix trilogy, the 4th one doesn't exist. I think the Pirates 2 and 3 would have made for a fantastic single movie, but they drug it out and it watered it down. But yes, I do like it overall.
When you say
but in
drug it
this
out,
movie
geez.
by itself, I think I don't really like. He's okay, Norrington.
That's
I
just
think he has a really good arc through the 3 movies, maybe of any character, because
Well, yeah,
I don't know how far they considered sequels. So a lot of these characters are kind of complete by the end of this movie. But Norrington, like, we can keep on working with him. You know what I mean? It's like, where is he at the end of this movie where his circumstances are so radically different from the beginning and middle? He
Yeah.
continues to go through this arc where his circumstances reverse and reverse and reverse. And we won't tell you how it ends up for Norrington, but that pays off really well. So even though, like, I think we all have issues with the sequels to this movie, there are the seeds of 2 more very watchable movies.
yes,
And I want to
yes.
say, just on that mention of our idiot British soldiers. Have you noticed that what that is? It's the old Disney trope that we see in their animated cartoons of twinned idiots, and they do it in both factions because we have 2 idiot
Yes.
pirates too. The guy running after his
Yeah.
eyeball, and the other guy. Those characters are
Agreed.
like exactly the same. They mirror each other. It shows
Yeah.
that both factions are comical idiots, and they're great characters.
It makes
They're
me think
fun.
of
Yeah.
the twins in Alice in Wonderland.
well, Tweedledee
Yes,
and
Yeah.
Tweedledum.
agreed.
Yep.
Yeah, we've seen a
Tweedledee and
lot of Disney
Tweedledum.
movies.
I dressed up as Tweedledum one year for Halloween when I was a kid, hoping that I would find a Tweedledee, but never did.
Oh man.
Wait a minute, what's going
Bad
on here?
Mando story.
Are we going to do the
So-
10-second thing, or are we going to actually play this movie? How defiant are we tonight?
No, we're doing the 10-second
We
thing.
we scrubbed through it. Yeah,
We would
That's a smart move.
yeah, we would die. We would die if we tried to play them.
So
I
as
think
we're
the
getting
problem
in,
with
We're
10
even able to
seconds is-
talk about Pirates of the Caribbean at all without getting struck down is something.
Mickey
West-
Mouse will be
the West
knocking it out.
India
Well, here's the
YouTube
thing:
company
we're
would come
about to
after us.
be. I think, the Dutch East India Company probably would. I honestly, this is one thing that I do not think that the amazing Bob Iger, who's one of the most intelligent and great filmmakers, and who wrote the most tasteful obituary for James Earl Jones you've ever written about Bob Iger's importance to Disney. I don't think he's going to mind us praising this movie and telling people that they should watch it because it's going to make him money. And I don't think that Mr. Iger would ever do anything that costs his company money or be about anything but money. I mean, come on, he's
No,
a
of course not.
capitalist. Absolutely a capitalist.
as we get into this, I'd just like to share a real quick thing. My mom's uncle and aunt, apparently they used to live primarily on a sailboat. They would just kind of like travel around the Caribbean, stayed mostly out of I think Carabas, Venezuela. And then when hurricane season, they would slowly start moving north. That way they could kind of like skirt whichever direction they needed to get out of the way of hurricanes. One day they found themselves in a port. I'm based on my search, I think it's probably Wallalabao Bay, St. Vincent and Grenadines. And they just took their little boat ashore, and there was a whole bunch of people there. A lot of them oddly dressed in pirate attire. They thought, this is weird. And then suddenly somebody comes up and is like, oh, no, go over here, get some food. So they headed to the craft service table and started getting some food. They didn't know what was going on. They picked up some food, sat down at a table, and this oddly flamboyant pirate sat down next to them and started talking to them. And about the time that they realized that they were talking to Johnny Depp, he realized, oh, these people aren't supposed to be here. And he had already like made a connection with them. He basically he leaned over and whispered like, if anybody asks, you're my guests. It just like he wasn't going to turn them in.
Wow.
I don't have any information on how long they stayed there. I imagine they probably left before they got arrested because they were definitely in an area they shouldn't have been in. But before anybody knew about this film, they showed up because parts of Port Royal were filmed at that bay, and it was someplace they just always went to, and it just happened to be Johnny Depp as Jack Sparrow, like
they missed
eating
the
a ham
paper
sandwich.
signs floating in the water. You're entering a filming location. You're passing this point.
You would think they would
consent to be filmed.
Yeah, you would think they would have at least had
water.
Coast Guard or somebody. Yeah.
But
maybe
no,
for realism they had no choice. I don't know. Like, you know what? Like closing off a waterway if it's a recreational island. I don't know where they filmed these. Hawaii.
I'm glad they didn't block anything off because your parents wouldn't have had that story to tell.
Right?
Yeah,
right. Like it goes to tell like Johnny Depp is like such a cool guy, just IRL.
He really is. And most of what they filmed as far as like the ports and the bays and things like that was in St. Vincent and the Grenadines in the Caribbean, just a little bit north of Venezuela. They did film a little bit in the Dominican Republic, but a lot of the interior stuff was filmed in California, obviously.
When they're in that fort, it's either one of the greatest sets ever, or they go to a real British fort somewhere, either maybe in the Northeast or somewhere like that. They're as far south as Virginia. I would imagine that it looked, the scope was pretty huge, but it's within their ability to build sets.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the stuff that you see in Port Royal is just kind of how that town looks like. They just spruced it up a little bit, at least from my brief research earlier today.
Port Royal sank in like 1771 or some shit like that from a magnitude 8 earthquake. So, yeah, I think that must be an amazing dive. Like we're all going to go down there and do like an Admiral Teague convention where you're all invited. We're going to dive on the wreck together.
This movie just in general has fantastic character introductions for every important character. It's like it's a masterclass on how you introduce a character without having to sit down and exposit who they are.
Yeah, I like how they introduce Gibbs here because you overskip him until later on in the movie and you realize, oh my goodness, he was there when Will Turner was found.
Yeah.
Did anyone else recognize him
but
from
also
Gettysburg?
It's a massive coincidence at the same time. Like as much as I enjoy him being in this scene in the movie, there's the other part of me. It's like him knowing them and then just happening to end up in Jack knowing Jack later, it's like, huh, that's a small world, huh?
I was
Yeah,
just like, it's Kilrain
like,
from
no.
Gettysburg.
So she's singing pirate songs, and he's like, "It's bad luck to be singing pirate songs in fog."
It's also bad luck to have a woman on
Foul
board.
wind.
She's not a woman;
Well,
she's a
she's
girl.
only
So
a
it's going to
girl.
be. Well,
He
it's,
should have just
I was
yeeted
about
her
to
off
say,
the bow.
Hold-
That would
hold
be
on.
great.
I was going to say, yes, she is a girl, which makes it especially awkward that Norrington's here as an officer, and then later on is hitting on her. Look, okay, let's say
Well,
it's like,
weird. I mean, it's
As a
weird.
man
hold
of
on,
a certain
hold on.
age, I think it's
Hold on.
absolutely okay. No, just kidding.
hold on,
It's,
hold on. Let's say it's a 10, 12 year difference between them. Later on, if you meet somebody in that different range difference, it's not that big of a deal if they're of age and you are as well, et cetera, et cetera. I think it's still a little bit weird if you watch them grow up, and then later on,
it's definitely strange.
it's weird when I date my
and I know
niece's friends.
this is set. This part is 8 years before the rest of the movie gets going.
Yeah.
But I mean, the thing that I think makes it especially strange is like Norrington. They didn't cast anyone younger for this part. They didn't really do much to make him look younger.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're just
That was
like, oh, it's the
laziness.
same guy. They just had him
No,
wear
but
a
I
different
mean,
colored
wait.
wig.
Wait, did he take a piece
Norrington
of that
goes
gold
from-
too? That's why
Yeah,
he's young. still.
Who?
he might.
Norrington goes from 24 to 32. I could believe that he still looks pretty good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He hadn't shown any signs of aging. She's the one who goes from like whatever. I suppose she's 13 or 12 to 20 or 21. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, like rewatching it today, especially later on. I know I'm jumping ahead
It's a
whenever he
little
says,
cringe.
to her, "You've become a magnificent woman" or whatever. It's like, oh, you should not acknowledge the fact that you've watched her grow up when you're trying to propose.
Bingo.
But I'm
But
jumping
if we're-
ahead. I'm jumping ahead. I'm sorry.
If we're being honest, at this period of time, that would not have been
Uncommon.
taboo.
True.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I looked it up.
No,
I
he's
mean,
right.
He's 11.
It would be-
he's 11 years
he's-
old in this part of the movie. That makes her 19 when he proposes to her. It's like, hey, look, I know it's
She's an old
strange,
maid by
Actually,
that age.
highly
It's like,
chivalrous by the
right?
time.
strange
by
to
the
us.
times, yeah.
I don't think morally you can argue against it. It might be kind of icky,
Yes,
but it's
yes.
like you're not gonna be able to morally argue it.
Right.
It's
It's
like,
like,
hey,
I
she's
acknowledge.
legal even by our standards.
I acknowledge it, but yeah, it would be weird
But-
to me.
It is
32
here.
and 20
absolutely.
isn't that crazy. Even today, it's not totally insane.
No, it's not.
totally
I mean,
insane.
some family history about my family going a little bit back. There was a 30-year age gap between my grandfather and my grandmother on my dad's side.
Woo.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't
By
mean
the
to
way,
send us
very
down that
quickly,
whole thing with your
very-
Alabama.
Very
heritage.
quickly in real life, their
I have a
flag
great
should
grandma
be.
that-
Sorry,
that,
go ahead.
Her and her husband were like 20 years apart.
Okay,
Yeah.
here's why this is especially funny. So I just looked up. Norrington is only supposed to be 8 years older than her, and I'm like, you should have cast someone younger than him for this part, then, because they definitely don't look 8 years apart in this scene. Heck no,
No.
he doesn't
he
look
looks-
19
He looks
Yeah,
30.
in this
by
scene-
any stretch of the imagination.
He
He
would have
looks
been a
like he's been-
midshipman.
Yeah, he looks like he's been paying off a mortgage for 20
Yeah.
years.
I just want to point out they have the wrong flag.
They do.
They do.
It should be blue.
Yep.
Sorry, it is. It's got too much blue. It should be all red.
Okay.
No, you're
They're
not.
flying the South Atlantic. They're flying the flag of the Indian British squadron.
Yeah.
Mm.
And they're crossing the Atlantic.
But they got the country
Mhm.
right, so that's something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, look.
How did
Here
he
we
make
have
it?
Galadriel. As we can see, here's Halbrand. He's just encountered some problems.
I was literally thinking this.
Please don't bring
He's
that
totes
up.
not
I'm gonna have
Sauron.
a heart attack.
Hold,
I'm
hold
gonna
on.
have an aneurysm. Ah.
Can I bring that in?
Watch out. If he's
This
got a
boy
ring
for
on him or a
centuries, and
medallion,
he
it's
just-
over.
Can I just
Slims
shout out
into it.
everybody in the chat? And I mean, not that by name. I just shout out to all you in the chat. I totally salute you for coming here and letting us entertain you and be the people that you listen to. And could you please give Jacob a like? And if you haven't followed this great YouTuber, please do so.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Thanks, Teague.
Otherwise,
Give
you're
me
a
$5
bloody
later.
racist.
Thanks, Gourd.
Wait a minute. We talked about this, but I've worked too hard to not be called that. Okay.
I'm not saying you can't be otherwise.
I'm
You
not
can
going to
still-
sit here and be called tolerant by the likes of.
You can still be a racist and follow him, but if you don't follow him, you're automatically one. So
Okay, cool.
you're just shortcutting it.
I just want to say the soundtrack to this movie.
Oh my
It's
god.
great.
Fantastic.
So amazing.
I didn't recognize the composer's
Masterpiece.
name, but it's
It
really
hits you in the
good.
feels, you know? You can
Mhm.
already
Yep.
feel the scene before it happens.
Yeah, I mean, like I like what Hans Zimmer added with Dead Man's Chest, but
I knew there
the
was some
OG
Hans Zimmer in
Pirates
there.
has the best. It's so good. It's so
Oh, there's
good.
no Hans Zimmer in this one.
I don't think so.
No,
No,
it is
this
Hans
is-
Zimmer.
main
Is Hans
that
Zimmer
main
in this one as
Pirates.
well?
the-
I thought
I
someone
think
else was in
his
this one.
I think he has his guy write maybe one or two of the interstitial songs that like thread us from one action
Hold
scene
on,
to
let me look.
another. But that big brassy like dun 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 dun, dun like their main like action theme.
Okay.
That sounds like him.
Let me correct myself. It's producer Hans Zimmer and composer Klaus Badelt.
Okay, that's right.
There you go.
Yes.
That was I knew Hans was involved, and I think he might have done some work with them on the most epic part because that sounds. And you know how Hans is; he like rips other people off. Like he was just in a very Jerry Goldsmith mood when he made this. It feels like the Jerry Goldsmith kind of.
I mean, truth
soundtrack.
be told, most modern composers do. I mean, John Williams has ripped off a ton of music.
Especially Jerry Goldsmith.
But yeah.
By which I mean
Right,
John
that's right,
Williams
Nas
has
And,
ripped
Klaus.
off Jerry
Hans Zimmer
Goldsmith.
likes to hunk.
I
Hans
can
Zimmer
show you a
likes to
Star
hunk
Trek
a lot.
episode with the Jaws
Mhm.
theme. in it.
Wow.
Apparently, Alan Silvestri was originally hired to write the score, but didn't end up
Oh.
doing it. He was Back to the Future and Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Wow.
I mean, I'm glad they ended
I
up where
just
they
wanna
did
point
because
out-
this is an iconic score.
Mhm.
Look at what men used to wear back then. Look at that florally
In the tropics.
The
Vest.
patterns, yeah.
in the tropics.
Look at what
Mhm.
19-year-olds
He's
used to
bursting
look
at
like
the
back
seams,
then.
though.
3
Yeah.
layers of wool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on,
That
Lovett.
you would
need to
look
cut
old
We
down.
all
too if
burst
you wore
the seams.
3 layers of wool in the Caribbean.
Look, as somebody who lives in Southeast Texas, I can say in the humidity, especially, eventually it gets to a heat level and a humidity level where you wear multiple layers, so you're not soaking wet on the outside. You're soaking wet on the inside, but nobody else sees it.
Right.
Right. I'm with House
Somebody clip him saying
Targaryen.
that.
I'm with the White Walker faction. We stay in the ice.
So here's the rest of the ship, all blown.
Yeah, this
to
is a
pieces.
supply ship that got wrecked by
Yeah.
pirates. Got wrecked
Hey,
by the
Emily.
Black Pearl.
Well,
And
a merchant ship.
supply
Which is,
ships-
it's just a little.
Merchant
it's
ships back
doing
then, though.
business.
Had cannon and actual battle equipment on the board, so
They
Yeah,
did, but
they
they
weren't they weren't
had-
nothing.
right. They weren't nothing, but they like if there was an actual like naval vessel that was going to attack it, like yeah, a merchant ship could hold
Oh yeah,
some,
yeah.
but they're not going to outmaneuver. They're not going to outflank.
No.
Out
You know
outward
what?
a naval vessel, like a actual like military vessel.
May I
No,
just offer
but
an observation
They
on
could
that?
they could
For-
do pretty good though.
just a quick observation. The U.S. Navy only had like 3 vessels in the American War for Independence, right? So what they really
Yeah.
did was these merchant ships, they had to do this on their own. There is no Coast Guard, there is no U.S. Navy, and the British could care less. They're stretched thin. I don't think we get deeply into the fact that this is the British East India Company in this movie, but these mercantilist navies, which were, under charter of the crown, these guys had a commission bought from the company, not the crown, and these merchants were on their own. So when we start fighting, we privateer these guys. We give them a license to only attack the British and their allies, and they really mess them up. So I don't know how weak they were, but you're right. Like military, like ship might have done a little better, but when you read about what they're feeding their sailors and stuff, you kind of wonder if the British might have been a little out of their league.
Yeah.
It's not that unrealistic.
Well, at one point in time, like they were the naval power of the world.
Absolutely.
it's one of those, like, depending on which period of time, like the British Navy sure could be easily defeated. Like when they were already spread thin, but like during their prime, there was nobody on planet Earth, like no naval power that could stand up to the
You
British
couldn't take
Armada.
them on in a naval war, but they had some pretty, like, their navy was so huge that it even included some bad ships. By the way, here it is, the headpiece of the staff of Ra. This is going to come in it's going to be very important later.
Yeah.
The child of someone who's also in the same field has come with this cherished relic, and it just so happens that Jack Sparrow knows he knows Bootstrap Jack, and he has given him this piece of the cursed treasure.
Teague, if you ruin this beloved movie for me, I am going to kick your butt out of here.
What? I thought that this was an adorable callback to another movie. This doesn't bother me. Here's the thing. I'll quote Doomcock: "Without respect, we reject." This is so respectfully done, and these are beats from established movies. This is taking the same influence from what Indiana Jones takes it from: the '30s movies, the pirates kind of movies, the serialized films, Errol Flynn. So there will be similarities.
I do make jokes, but this is definitely a throwback to all the same tropes that a lot of those movies do base things off of. I recognize
and
that.
that's why we'll see some of the same things. Yeah, I'm gonna riff on it too. And there'll be some Star Wars jokes coming soon. Don't you worry.
We're at 33 minutes.
Flashback.
We're at 33 minutes, and we only have gotten out of the past.
We're doing okay, actually.
Yes. Right.
Does anyone else want to just say, I think that this is possibly the one and only really, truly good role that Orlando Bloom has, where he emotes and does stuff? Because, like, Kingdom of Heaven,
That's
it's
true.
like Brie Larson could have
Lord of
played
the
that
Rings.
role.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings, he's got good direction, but he plays a
Legolas.
supernatural creature with a limited
Black Hawk
range of
Down?
emotion.
It's
Legolas
fine.
is a
That's
little
not
bit like
even
playing a
Black Hawk
Vulcan,
Down.
though. In Black Hawk Down, he falls out of a helicopter and chokes for a get I mean, he's cool.
Great
Don't
role.
get me wrong, but he says the role is really small. He says, like, "I'm ready, sir," and that's about it. But, like, as a Tolkienian elf, he's a little bit of a Vulcan as far as the spectrum of emotion is reduced. And in Kingdom of Heaven, it's just like
come on.
I'm ready to blame Ridley Scott,
He's
but
not
he's
that
emotionless a couple of times there.
I think he played a walking vagina
see
very
it.
well in Troy. I loathed him in that
Oh,
movie.
I like
my
his
God.
performance in Troy.
was
In
yeah, I
Troy,
hated
he
him
got
in
what
Troy.
you wanted from him. But he was
Exactly.
supposed to be
The
ignominious.
villain.
He's good at that. Heroic stuff, this is the only time he sticks hero. And the trope of making him the blacksmith, he's the blacksmith in Kingdom of Heaven too.
Yeah.
I don't think I necessarily disagree with you, but I also just kind of want to focus on Elizabeth Swann here.
Do you know?
I like how, well, what sets it up is basically she has the dream, and for some reason she just has to put the medallion on. Has to,
And
this day.
And she
This
has it
very
for
day.
a really long time. They take pains to make sure we see that. And at least she
That's
doesn't
what
say
happens when you have the ring. The medallion. It calls.
it. The headpiece.
By the way, underrated performance from Jonathan Pryce. He's quite good in this.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
like him.
He's
Yeah.
elevating everyone around him throughout this
And
whole
by the way,
whole
it's like
movie.
remember Disney writing actually kind of cool female characters like Elizabeth Swann, who
Yeah.
can hold their
Hey.
own, but aren't without
Also is
femininity.
human.
Yeah,
They're
she's human.
human.
She's beautiful. She's feminine. It's like, oh wow,
a
that's
lot
kind of
more
amazing.
Beard,
She's a
look
lot
up
more
what the
believable than
temperature
that
is right
CGI.
now in the Caribbean.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, what was that, Jacob?
Look up what the daytime temperature is in the Caribbean right now. Man, wearing a wool wig,
Oh,
the wool clothing layers.
they didn't have AC either.
Looking-
So
Gotta
it
be
was
One
just
sweating.
one
total
wig
swamp.
to wool them all.
By the way,
One
what do you guys
stench
think?
to smell them all.
Okay, right now,
Did they make some good choices with the CGI budget? Because this not so great, but stuff later in the moonlight with the right.
it looks
Well, this
okay.
is the right shot to blow, considering like look what we do later with the crew of the Black Pearl in the moonlight, which is some of the greatest effects ever. When the running through in and out of the beams of moonlight, changing back and forth. So
Yeah,
this
I
was
think
the
it still
moment to
holds
save
up.
I could
So
that holds up. This is like okay, I can live with it.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't give me that stupid weather.
Caribbean
Hang on,
temperatures, by the way, typically they stay between the low 80s and the high 80s almost year round. Even in the winter, it's in the low 80s.
Humidity is like 75% above, though.
It's dry heat, though. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So Florida.
There are.
It's a greenhouse.
It's still, I mean, you don't have to get
There are
that
types
hot.
of wool that keep you
Yes.
keep you cool, though.
I imagine they probably had some sort of linen in their underclothes, and like linen is a very cool material.
They've come here to
Not
make
a great
cotton,
ruler, though.
So they've got coffee and cotton, so they'll find a way to make some cooler clothes and make the days go by faster.
I hear it's the highest fashion in what, France or Europe, whatever. It's like, I guess the ladies there have just
I think
learned
it's
not
just
to
London.
breathe.
He goes, well, women in London must have learned not to breathe.
Yep.
If only, right?
Maybe, but they do wonders for your. Never mind.
For your A cups.
For your
I did find it weird that we
posture.
I did find it weird when we transitioned to older Keira Knightley. We do like have a generous shot of her cleavage, and I'm like, just not what we think about when we think about her.
See, okay, so this is another great. Again, every single main character introduction is fantastic, and it does it with almost no dialogue.
Yeah.
What we see with him here, standing around, he breaks the sconce off and like awkwardly hides it.
He's like,
yeah.
I wonder how they put this together. Uh-oh.
I like
it's supposed to be a metalsmith too.
Movie
freaking idiot.
Where I think Price does the same thing, where he rips it off the sconce or something.
No, I think he, as a blacksmith, he's thinking, how did they attach this? And it just breaks off in his hand.
See, because I thought he was surprised as a blacksmith that it was so brittle, like because it's supposed to be high end.
Yeah.
It tells us a little bit about what they have and what they think they have.
Right.
This is very true.
And I like this part, perfectly balanced, as all things should be.
Truth be told, if Keira Knightley took a piece of Aztec gold and got into the moonlight, really wouldn't look that different.
There wouldn't be much.
When you said, until you put the tech on Aztec, when you're like, when Keira Knightley piece of Aztec gold.
She's just tech.
Yeah, she is a piece of Aztec.
This is a great like little thing where he's like, oh, this is amazing. You know, give my compliments to your master. It's like, yes, of course, because everyone likes to hear their work, complimented and everything.
Yeah.
It's like he's genuinely appreciating it, has no idea that he's insulting him because he's the one who made it.
Yeah. I really like the sword.
And he's, as he kind of demonstrated with his introduction, he's too socially awkward to say anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
when
it comes
smart
to
too, though, it shows gratitude to whoever took care of him, even if that guy fell on drinking. Like when he comes in and sees the guy drunk, he says makes kind of a somewhat loving remark. He's like, oh, just like I left you, know, and just like that's him. And I don't know if he actually made this all by himself, but yeah, he had a great deal to do with it.
As at least in regards to him being kind of awkward socially, when it comes to speaking about his craft, as we saw right there, when he's actually handling the sword and talking about it, you can hear the pride in his voice and see the confidence in how he handles that blade. That's like his one thing that he knows that he can talk about, where everything else he's just kind of awkward and doesn't have that interaction with normal people because he's locked in a room making swords and other items all day.
I just want to say, naval combat, ship when you board a ship is absolutely brutal. I mean, you're in such tight quarters, and
you see the weapons, but we don't see the effects.
Roman and been like, "Hey, Roman, tell us how it's like to be smushed like a sardine in a ship for days on end."
I mean, we got a lot of good conversation like that on the Master and Commander stream some time ago.
Yeah, we did.
So look at Padme here.
This is a great interaction where she keeps dressing Miss Will, and he's like Miss Turner or Miss Swan.
He's trying to be so formal, and she's trying to talk like he's a friend, and
but you can tell she also
doesn't know how to tell her.
You can tell that she takes offense to it because when she leaves, she says Mr. Turner.
Well, she wants him to freaking man up. I mean, come on,
Yeah.
dude.
I thought she said it
They've
kind of
known
flirty.
each other for years.
Once you
Like,
go blacksmith, you never go backsmith. Come on, dude. You need a man.
Look, some of us are kind of dumb, and we need more than just even like barely subtle clues.
Mhm.
I love this part.
And this introduction is
You're like you think, oh,
top
he's
tier.
on
This is so funny.
top of some grand ship, and he's
So
like the music is fantastic. The misdirection with showing you like oh, he's like sailing on top of the ship, and then you're like, oh no, this thing is sinking.
Yeah, it's so
just-
epic.
It's a fantastic
so
shot,
calm,
and then it's
so
absolutely
confident.
comical.
well, I mean, even beyond the misdirect and the comedy, like I've said it many times already, it's a perfect character interaction because he jumps down, he goes from the calm, confident to the panicky, but then we also see him see the bodies hanging there, the pirates, be warned, and he salutes them. And so we get he's
here's our first meme of the
overconfident.
movie, right?
He's overconfident. He's the comedic role. He's also a pirate, obviously, because he saluted the pirates that are hanging there. But he also has a sense of honor. Yes, exactly. So we get basically 90% of what we need to know about Jack Sparrow right here with no dialogue.
Yep.
This
Yeah.
part,
That is
this
true.
my favorite part of the shot. It's just this thing sinking and he just takes it in and literally takes it in stride. Just walks himself on.
Did it dawn on anyone else that this is actually like 4 straight memes in a row?
Yeah, it's
Right.
great.
Very popular ones at that.
and I love the guy at the dock. He's like, wait, you can't just dock your
It's
ship
a
here.
shilling.
And he just
And
puts
he's
gold
like-
down. He's like, welcome to Port Royal, Mr. Smith.
Well,
And
it's not
as the
even
guy
just that.
walks
I even
away-
love the little.
As the
There's a
guy
little part
walks
where it's like-
away, he grabs the coin
Well, when he
purse.
says it's a shilling
Oh.
to tie your ship up to the dock, they look back and it's like sinking, and he's like, "Is this really that big a deal?"
Yep.
Yeah.
I like
love the look back.
what was just mentioned is such a great little piece of the movie, though, is because he is kind of done dirty because it's like he doesn't really have a ship and the guy wants a shilling. So he's like, ugh, take 3. And then he immediately pilfers it back. And it doesn't seem that underhanded or like thievery. It's like, he stole from a thief. Fine.
Yeah.
Like a drunk
Right?
driver hitting the serial killer. Who cares?
Well, once the guy opened himself up to bribery, it's like, not a big deal if he takes it back.
This looks very, very real. And we know it's not. We talked about. Do we say this? We know it's not we know it's not St. Augustine because the fort does not glitter at night. And they and they didn't use any elements of the real fort in the CGI. The inside of the fort looks exactly like a real fort from the British time of occupation. They're dotted around the world. They built them the same way. I've been to one in the Northeast, so I'm feeling like this could be Lake George or this could be anywhere. I didn't look at filming locations. It seems real, though.
Just one of the things I appreciate about this movie
it is.
is, granted, this movie's very much comedic, but the actors that are supposed to be playing it seriously are they're playing it seriously. They're not tongue in cheek. They're not trying to, they don't look bored to be there. It's like they're actually taking their part seriously. They're trying to be like, yes, I'm a governor. It's like, I'm a commodore. It's like they're actually, there's some love put into these performances, big and small. I really appreciate that. These two guys are great.
This
I
dog
love the way he
off
gets
limits to
them.
civilians.
Am I a civilian though?
I'll let you know if I see any.
It's like, I'm sorry.
I'm
I'm
sorry.
I
I didn't know. I'll let you know if I see any of them. No, we can't let you through. It's like, well, seems to be an awful big event happening up. Seems like it's terribly bad that 2 upstanding gentlemen like yourself didn't get invited. Well, someone has to stand here and say this place is off the limits to civilians.
Establishing right away that these are the least competent members of the retinue.
Well, and
Got the
actually,
least
on the way
enviable
in,
duty.
I think because we're skipping through things, I think we actually might have missed it. Before he even hits the dock, he looks over and sees the actual ship that he's trying to get, the Interceptor, not the one that they think he's trying to get to. So it's little things. This is like the last little bit of the era where Hollywood like did things right. There were a couple odds and ends here and there after it, but this was like the peak of right before we started the like sort of like downward trend where the writers respected the audience.
I took this as shopping for Johnny. He's looking at this ship and he's sort of like, while he's talking to them, sizing it up, right? And he's looking at the other ship and he's sort of sizing it up while he's still talking to them. And I think the decision's going on in his mind. It's a cool conversation.
He made his way to a port so he could take a ship. And he's just
and he's just like, he's only seeing them for the first time and he's got to deal with these two numbskulls who get left behind from all other duty.
Hold on.
Pirate.
That dude on the left looks like what's his face from Red Letter Media.
Yes.
He does.
Yeah, he does.
Mike?
He does.
And the guy on the left sort of looks like an ugly Martin Freeman.
A little bit, yeah.
I'm on the right. Dyslexia can't account for that stupid mistake. Sorry, guys. I'll learn my left and my right one day.
And did they get arguing? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I like how you can see Jack Sparrow. He's very quick on his feet. You know, he's constantly thinking and coming up with solutions. And you can see this throughout the movie that he's seeing things and he's picking up these pieces and he's working with what he's got. It's amazing.
Yeah, he's this weird kind of contradiction of incredibly intelligent yet inept at the same time. If that makes sense.
Do you think he's good, or is he just good like that?
He's like really excellent at being an idiot, and he's been doing it for a long time. He's got a lot of on-the-job experience.
He's basically Buzz Lightyear when he first tries to fly and it's falling with style. It's like, I know what I'm doing, but he kind of accidentally does it. He didn't really intend to.
I mean, I think people mistake genius like as this thing that's all encompassing when in reality most genius is focused. You know, it's like Mozart was a genius, but he was a genius when it came to music. He was, he was also very frivolous with money and, drunken. It's like you can have lots of, negative personality traits despite being incredibly intelligent, and I think that's what we see with Jack Sparrow. He's very intelligent. He's very quick on his feet, like Lovett said. But yeah, he has a lot of ineptitude to him as well because he has
alcohol is a performance enhancer for Jack Sparrow.
Yeah, he's got a lot to him.
Well, as we see, this is jumping ahead a little bit. Whenever Will says it, this is either genius or madness, and Jack's response is, "It's amazing how often those things coincide." Yeah, and
Dr. Evil Mind from Austin Powers.
That's basically Jack Sparrow. He's both like insane and smart at the same time.
Mm-hmm. This is honestly one of the funniest parts of the movie. Yeah. I laugh every time this happens when he's trying to propose to her. Like even he's funny in this part because this is the most awkward we see.
He can't even bother to look at her.
He genuinely cares about her, so he's feeling a little bit vulnerable. He's like, "Yes, he goes, I'm a little lost for words myself," and she just falls quietly over the side. She's like,
I mean,
I'm torn between whether she faints or she's just like, I don't care.
As somebody who's not incredibly direct myself, this hits home with the not being able to make eye contact. You turn around and she's gone. I'm like, damn it. Except usually mine don't fall off the wall into the water.
Yeah.
What do you mean by usually? Like there's times when it does happen?
I honestly think it was
one
probably
time
the
she did.
Oh,
you know what? You're right.
I wanted to hear that.
Not prone to fainting. You're right.
Yeah, it was foreshadowed when she said, "Oh, do you think they learn how not to breathe?"
Yeah.
Actually, in regards to Jacob, as you were saying, you want to hear the story, and then they made me their chief. I think that ends up paying off in the future movie whenever he's the chief.
Yeah, that pays off in the next movie.
Yeah,
there's a couple of those.
I mean, as much as I don't think I hold 2 and 3 as high regard as some people else on the panel. I think they would have been a better single movie. I don't hate them, but there is definitely payoff in some of the characters.
Yeah, to be honest, I think she just passed out because
you look like
you know what it was? There was money to be found, and they were going to make a sequel no matter what. So, like, what we really should be is like the harm reduction they did by not making it absolutely horrible is something we don't see anymore.
Well, the little thing whenever she falls, we see her fall, hit the water in the background, is he's sitting there telling that story, which shows us again, he's super charismatic because these guys who have arrested him are sitting there listening to his stories. And then again, Norrington wants to jump off to save her. It's like, no, sir, the rocks, it's a miracle she missed them. And so, Jack's like, can you swim? Or are you going to save her? I can't swim. Some real neighbor you are.
Yeah.
And he jumps in, and then that's when we get that whole, like, once the medallion hits the water for the first time, that pulse goes out. We see the wind change direction. Everything changes the moment she hits that water.
Well, not only is it it's cool to look at, and I love the little sound effect. It's a nice story detail to help explain how these pirates managed to track down. I mean, granted, we don't know exactly how many of these medallions they tracked down. They said they fretted them away, so it's obviously at the very least a large quantity of them.
This is the missing
we can assume
piece.
at least half of them, but it helps to explain how they managed to track them all down over time.
And
because
again,
it's probably been a while, but I mean, it hasn't been more than. It's basically however long after the mutiny against Jack, and then whatever time elapsed then in the curse.
Yeah.
The mutiny precedes us finding him setting his son adrift in the last part of the ship with the final piece of the puzzle. Because the movie doesn't work, I think, unless he's got the only piece that isn't with the rest of the treasure. Like they've got it or they know where it is. It's on that island. It's close enough. All they need is that one piece. And by the time they have their plan to grab her, they're like, we're going to consolidate all this evil gold, and by this point, none of them want it.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have thought of that. Clearly, you've never been to Singapore.
And I like his reaction to that. He sees it and he's like, where did you get that? Like he's just shocked to see this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good play.
Good little bit of acting there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Norrington took some fencing lessons. Whenever he plays around with the sword, he's competent. Unless they double him really well.
I like the guy's holding the corset, and the dad looks at him. He's like, he
just points at him.
Shoot him! Shoot him!
And she's like, "Are you really gonna kill the man who saved my life?" And then Norrington, he's like, he puts it aside for a moment, but he knows what he's dealing with, so he grabs him by the hand and pulls the sleeve up. And I'm like, it shows some of his own, his competence, because I think when you're first introduced to Norrington in these opening scenes, it's like you've seen him in one scene be kind of nice, when he's proposing, but at the same time, it's like this is clearly a foe in some respect.
Yeah.
But you're seeing that he's competent and everything, and I think over the course of the movie, it's like you might think you're supposed to hate him, but actually, I find Norrington quite likable, to be honest.
He's cool.
Yeah.
By the way, unfortunately,
he's just a guy trying to do his job.
Mm-hmm.
Is anyone old enough to remember the original Twitter logo that tattoo looks almost exactly like?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Had a brush up with Elon Musk, did we, pirate?
Did you bring in the sink?
She's dating his future wife right now, which makes it even weirder at the point of the movie this movie's being made. Think about that. Elon Musk dating Amber Heard at this point.
This is a nice little detail. Yeah, go ahead, Jacob.
He's like, I half expected it to be wood.
Yeah. But I mean, there are nice details in here that is easy to miss on your first viewing. A compass that doesn't point to north. He doesn't say it doesn't work. Doesn't point to north. And a pistol with one round and no extra powder. And everything there is going to pay off.
You wonder why does he only have one gun with one? They don't explain why he has that. They just kind of
it almost feels like first you're just dealing with a trope of some kind. Like, it's just a gun with one shot. It's like, no, actually, there's meaning behind that.
On the rewatch,
they explain it.
On the rewatch, you actually notice before he dives into the water, he hands his sword and his gun to the guy and says, "Do not." He specifically says, "Do not lose this." So it's a very subtle thing. If you're on your first watch, it's easy to miss that gun, sword, everything he's handing there, his belt that has everything on it, is important to him. He wants to come back for it. It's not just a weapon that he keeps with him.
But my point was with the gun with a single shot or the compass that doesn't point north, it's like when you first hear of these things, you're thinking, oh, okay, it's a broken compass. And the gun with one shot, it's like, oh, that's bordering on a trope. He's like basically an impoverished part. It's like then later you get you get the explanation for the gun in this movie, you get the explanation for the compass in the next movie.
2 movies later.
Like the compass, like details like that make me think they absolutely had sequels in mind. It's like I feel very confident
Dempsey's right.
In mind.
Dempsey's got it.
Check off, yeah.
By the way, I think it's the 3rd movie we find out the compass points to whatever Jack desires most.
No, that's the second one. That's the second.
Is it? Yeah. You know what though? They use it real competently here, man. He's just pulling it out and looking at it and like, where is it? He's like, nah, don't worry about it. And we get this story about how he never shares the bearings and coordinates of where things are anymore. He doesn't know. He's just following that freaking thing. He's just like me with my phone, like the idiot walking through, New York. It's like, well why is
if I had to guess, Gibbs probably knows the secret of that compass, which is why he's fine trusting it. But he also doesn't tell anybody. But yeah, it's like it's one of those little hidden details that I think they were like, we're gonna save this for the sequels.
This is the only stunt that physically can't work, right? Right here, the one where he drops off the rope. Yeah. It's physically impossible for him to reach the end of that zip line and fall to the ground without hitting a pole or something. So that zip line is a magic, like elven rope from Lothlorien. Orlando Bloom gave it to him.
At this point, we are fully into just like old, like ridiculous Disney adventure movies. I'm willing to forgive that.
Oh, this is the only stunt I had a problem with. I'm going to be honest.
Maybe it broke.
That, you know what? Please show it then. Honestly, I'm just going to say that's the only stunt in a movie filled with stunts
I'll tell you
that I have any issue with, because that one was too obvious. It shook me a little.
Hair from his back.
That was a great joke later in the movie. I've also noticed gravity works backwards in one part of this movie where wood floats down.
But no, it doesn't.
See that?
It definitely
that works. That works. It's tied over to the on top of the.
Oh no,
the
yeah,
arch.
he actually loops his chain sideways. I think so. I think.
He does. He does.
No, the part the part I was talking about is later on when they're sailing through the ship graveyard, they break the mast off one of the ships, so it should float to the top. It's wood, but instead it just falls because it looks cooler.
But it's old wood though.
Maybe the wood is a witch.
It's waterlogged wood though.
I can entertain that for a minute. It's 50-50. Yeah, if it's 50-50.
The wood only is supposed to float if it weighs the same as a duck. Everyone knows that.
Well, then it's a witch.
No,
and we
that piece of wood. That piece of wood was looking down. It wasn't looking up.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's what it was. If it had optimism.
You're right. Yeah, elf logic, of course.
Yeah.
A wood half float.
Our second Rings of Power reference of the show, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be having them intermittently all through the night. Not too much. Just every 8 to 15 minutes tops. Cap. We have a cap.
Yeah, here we get pretty awesome.
And there's
I like
there's a reason for him to run into Orlando Bloom because he's looking for a blacksmith shop to get rid of the handcuffs.
Yep.
It really heats
he really heats another
Orlando
good
Bloom's
swordsman.
ass.
Mm-hmm.
How much you want to bet they get in trouble today for the way he motivates the donkey? People would be like, the way he held the red hot poker to that CGI donkey's ass. So mean.
This is just full on, just like letting Johnny Depp be ridiculous for most of this scene.
Yeah,
and I love it.
It really heats my ass.
How to handle the average Democrat.
No.
See, and earlier, I think
Teak,
you were saying
people to go watch that.
Teak, I think you were saying earlier that like when he comes in, he's like, "Oh, right where I left you," like it's almost affectionate. I don't see it like that because I think it's more, he's annoyed with it because we see right here that he's like, "Oh, this is right where I left you," and then he turns and looks at the hammer. It's like, "Not where I left you," which kind of suggests that he's the one that knows where everything is and everything happens in this shop.
Here's my feeling. He is a really altruistic and good person, okay? He's been rescued from literally pulled from the sea, not twice, but only once. He's not Galadriel, but he's been pulled from the sea, and whoever this person was did look after him. Like, someone taught him how to be a great blacksmith. Someone gave him a place to sleep and live. Someone gave him the tools of the trade.
He may have given him that, but yeah.
Deeply out. Oh, he's disappointed in the father figure who could never live up to what he needed. But I think part of this is they don't call his father Bootstrap Jack for nothing. Like, his son has pulled Bootstrap Bill, whatever it is, for nothing. His son has pulled himself up. New Jack has pulled himself up by his bootstraps. And like, he wasn't dealt the best hand in life, but at the same time, he's like, he still has, like, he's protecting this guy's reputation by bringing the sword. Or at the very least, it would not serve him well to destroy this guy's reputation and be like, I make the swords, because then people would be like, no, you don't. No way. You're only like 20. That's another reason for him to keep it a secret.
Yeah.
I look at the Mastersmith as kind of like his goofy uncle almost. That's kind of the relationship I feel they likely have, is like he's the goofy uncle that he probably has some affection for, but also is just kind of rolls his eyes at. Like, if you play Red Dead, he's uncle from that. He probably just sits in his chair and cries about his lumbago.
Well, there's a cutscene before he gets this magic sword where he says, you can waste time with your friends later. Right now, I need you to take these 2 droids to Mos Eisley and have the protocol droid's mind wiped. And he's that kind of an adopted parent.
Howdy, Dax.
Hey there.
Yeah, he's like, you threaten Miss Swan. Yeah. Only a little.
I like his legs are too far forward. They're going to get cut. Move them back.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Sure.
They both trained, though. If you watch this saber fight, there's no swinging in empty air. Nobody does a stupid but cool, like, turn your back to your enemy spin move. Like, compare this to Ahsoka. That's all I'm going to say.
It looks like they're actually trying to hit each other.
I gave my fellow critic
hit each other's swords.
Yeah. Yeah,
I hated that show so much.
It's people leave an opening and then they block the kill stroke. It's great.
You can you can tell that, like, Jack thinks he's playing with him because he doesn't take him seriously at first until he realizes that, Will actually has a little bit of ability. Then he, like, that's when he's like, oh, let's try your footwork. He's like, okay, he's testing him out.
I got the impression that being a swordsman was his PlayStation. It's just like, this is what he does all day. Like, he trains in fences because one day they'll be a pirate. Like, he's got the same sort of mindset as Keira Knightley, where it's like he would rather fancy to meet a pirate. And it would be
Will Turner would freaking love Beat Saber.
He's in denial of it right now. He's in denial of it right now, but he's a pirate at heart.
I mean, even if not that, if you're making swords every single day, it helps if you know how to use them, because then you know how they feel.
He says by the way, right out of Kingdom of Heaven, that's exactly how he kills the guy in Kingdom of Heaven.
This is great. This is ridiculous with the sparks and everything. I don't care. It's done.
It's
cool. Amazing.
It's cool.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, you might get sparks off something that's been in a fire for a while.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's very clearly that it's electrified sparks whenever you're watching the movie.
Yeah.
But I don't care.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's so many things in this movie that if you look at them like super critically in reality, they're stupid and unbelievable, and I don't care. I love this movie.
Yeah.
It knows what it is, and it leans into it.
Mm-hmm. This movie tonally is just like The Mummy. It's that kind of tone.
I love this part.
I love
adventure. It's fun. I would say this is probably made a little bit more competently. Well, not even a little bit more. I mean, technologically, it's way ahead of The Mummy, but it's that same spirit.
Jerry Bruckheimer was a sure thing at this point.
I have to play little bits of this. This is great.
Well, see, and the comedy bits, they don't like really go over the top. It's like, it's a little bit like the old like silent film kind of physical comedy, but they don't lean into it so hard that it feels ridiculous. feels like it fits, even though it doesn't, if that makes sense.
They do the house falling on a guy where he just happens to be standing where the window is thing, though, when a ship mast falls later. So as the movie goes on, we get more and more comfortable and we ramp it up slowly and organically. By the end of this movie, we're doing things that we wouldn't have accepted in the first 25 minutes. They do a good job at that. This movie accomplishes its goal, and it's not a cynical lowering of the bar. What they have to do is people have to be ready to be unaccepted of some physics. They have to be willing to be generous with how far a person can fall and other stuff like that. And we'll make up with it. We'll make up for it by the fact that people's brains will notice this, but we'll make up with it for it with fantastic music, really good dialogue. And this is the best Orlando Bloom performance in these movies, is my opinion. I'll say it again. Sometimes he can be wooden.
I love this part too. He's like, you cheated. Pirate.
Yeah, and then backup line is like, you would never win a fair fight. And he's like, you're not exactly giving me a reason to fight fair.
He also mentions that he says this shot is not meant for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And going, and that's leaning a little bit more. It's putting just a little bit more information out for us as the viewers on our first viewing.
And
there's something different about that.
And with
Which
Orlando
I
Bloom,
have 4 or 5.
It's not.
And with Orlando Bloom,
It's not an information dump. It's a little bits of things that you piece together yourself. It's great. It's really good.
And you have several explanations in a moment. Is he talking about the soldiers who are about to burst through the door that he's going to fire on? You know what I mean? It's ill-defined, but they're very nicely laying a little kernel of information there for you, has been said.
And then this is great.
Uncle Owen helps out.
Wakes up.
He's on easy mode.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Happy Jimmy.
He's the dude in the gang who's after you beat your opponent down into a bloody pulp, he comes in and gets a good kick on his face. It's yeah, I did it.
Yeah, right.
I did it.
See, I was thinking something a little bit different, like when you have a Marvel versus Capcom, and one of your characters tags in, hits the final kill move, and they're like, "I did it." No,
I love
the dog.
This is right
favorite.
off the ride.
Yeah, come on, puppy.
This is from the ride, 1 for 1. This is something we used to see on the ride. Now the ride's been rethemed with Johnny Depp, but then he got canceled, and I haven't been back to the park since. So I don't know if they themed it back or whatever they did. But did you guys know that Michael Jackson had the exact replica of the ride in the basement of the Neverland Mansion?
I'm not surprised.
That's weird.
Yeah, I was there when I was 11. I mean, I've heard reports of it.
I didn't know because I've never been. I've never been to Neverland.
Now, I like this maid because she's very upfront with her. She's like, "Oh my goodness, you had a big day. Can't be too forward with you."
It's not that
I think she's just showing off that, hey, these are what actual breasts look like.
Is it that cold?
This is what an actual water bra looks like. Thank you. It sets up a good joke later, but yeah, why does she in this 80-degree environment need 4 quilts, and a heated embers?
She's anemic, that's why. She's anemic. When you're anemic, you're cold. Yes.
Kiera, eat something. You put on some weight. You're anemic.
Yes, eat some meat. Some
baby, we love you. Take some iron supplements.
Nicole is her meal. She's like, eat something. I'll take it, please.
I guess I had.
She's like, I had a ramen noodle before.
I guess I hadn't really ever thought about that, but I mean, I guess yes. If you are anemic, sure, but even in that weather, underneath that thick of a,
you would actually be much hotter. You would be sickly hot. You would need to be doing anything to cool off if you were anemic. I might know.
Well, no. So anemia, because I used to be anemic. You're cold, and it's ridiculous how cold you can be, even though it's warm outside. This is completely believable as somebody who once had anemia.
Yeah, I definitely don't have that because even though I have the AC going and it's 70, 72 degrees at night, it's I don't use even a sheet at night. I'm just spread eagle on the bed, just nothing touch me.
So growing up in South Alabama, we had a window unit. It was really hot. I would still have like a quilt on me sometimes during the fall and spring. And it was like 75.
I don't know what that life is like.
I don't know. I fondly remember those times. I am no longer that way.
So this right here, this may be the most unbelievable part of the entire movie, is that nobody in the entire town was yelling outside their window, "Will, lay off with that damn hammer already. We're trying to sleep." Like, really?
True.
You're like smacking on an anvil at night? No.
By
There's
the way,
no
this is
like
better.
there's no like air conditioning to like blank out the noise.
Well,
There's no like
the
car
blacksmith
noise.
shop wouldn't be like in the central part of town where people are sleeping though.
Well, and plus
This
stone,
may be like
stone
the
walls can
shop
absorb
district,
sound.
shop
Stone walls
part
can
of it.
Do
absorb
they have
sound.
Yeah.
Well,
These people have much choice.
There's
They're
actually-
living
there's
at
quite
the
a bit in
beach
that
in front of a
shop
mountain,
absorbing sound.
mountainous island.
I'm just thinking most people lived above whatever shop they ran, so he had neighbors with an earshot.
Yeah, surely
They're probably
they're all
used to it
inside
by
that
now.
fort, right?
Eh.
Now this is one thing that just kind of, if this had been a real attack, they would have sunk those two ships.
Absolutely.
But you need the ships for later. But still, there's not very
Yeah,
many.
you can't
gripes
blame
with
it on
this
the
movie.
fog.
This makes me want to play Sea of
And the
Thieves
ship
later.
just rolls.
Right. I was thinking the
Sure.
same thing. Man, Sea of
Like-
Thieves.
I was going to stream something after this. I wasn't sure exactly what it was. It might be Sea of Thieves.
Sea of Thieves! Sea of Thieves. You do
I
know
like
they have
this.
a Pirates of the Caribbean like quest line you can do, right?
Oh, it's been a while since I've played, so I guess I missed that.
You can still
Do
do
you like
it.
how?
He's like,
Do you
"What's
like
that
how
noise?"
he's changed his wig? At what point do you decide, like, well, the brown wig has served its purpose, but I need the salt and pepper executive wig now for this
I
part
feel like
of
you
my
need
career?
at least
Mm.
3
Yes.
You need to
daily
show him
movies.
seasoned and wise.
Yes.
I mean,
It's just
if,
funny
if we're,
because we know it's a choice. You know what I mean?
if we're talking
It's an
about age,
asset.
I'm figuring it's probably like between 40 and 45. You decide to switch to the gray wig.
Wasn't average life expectancy 30? So he's like 26, and he's like, I'm middle aged now. Just a few more good years left.
So we're coming up on it. We kind of like earlier with Jack, like they were trying to get the dog with the keys, and Jack's like, hey, no matter what you try, the dog's not going to come to you. We're about to get to the part where they get out, and then suddenly Jack's like, come here, doggy, come here, doggy.
Yeah. Right.
Another one of those little things I like.
Now, was he that desperate, or was he saving that plan for himself?
I
I
think
think he was just that desperate.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But once he saw the pearl, he's like, okay, well, you know, this is my chance to maybe.
See, like,
Get
here's our
shit
pirate
back, too.
idiots. These guys are great, and they mirror our British idiots.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Brilliant.
Did
I
these
like- I
four
didn't see
people
it
ever
in
have a
this
scene
movie, but-
together? Do we ever get these two
I don't-
comedy of errors like twin characters together in the same place so we can see them play off each
Yes,
other?
we do.
Maybe
Yeah.
later on in another movie, I guess.
It's in the third film.
Okay.
They wait that long, huh?
Yeah, unfortunately.
This is. I think this is in the second movie, but he's like, "Stop rubbing it. You're gonna get splinters."
Yeah.
Oh, that's in this one later on. Yeah.
Oh, it is. It is okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he
it's
said-
later
he's-
when they're when Elizabeth gets her hand cut.
Yeah, he says something along the lines of, you'll be able to buy a real glass eye. This one does splinter something awful. Stop rubbing it.
Yeah.
This one we also
By the
get
way,
to see a
one of
little bit more
one of the
uh,
pirates, the one who says "say goodbye," that is Kano from Mortal Kombat, if I'm not mistaken.
It is.
No.
Mhm.
Yeah, it is. It is. You're right.
It is
Yeah.
Kano. Mm-hmm.
This is where we get to see a little bit more of just like Will's confidence and determination, because he doesn't really hesitate to get out there and do something. Like he knows societally, as far as like societal rankings goes, he's nobody, but that doesn't stop him from just like trying to do the right thing.
I like this part. It's like he opens the door. Hello, chump.
Pop.
Well, here's the thing about Will. He thinks his father was the navigator on a spice freighter, but he was actually a
Yeah.
very powerful Jedi Knight, as was I once. This movie is in no way an amalgam of other successful films woven together.
I like that she doesn't think that she's valuable here, but obviously the other woman's like, "You're the governor's daughter. You have to hide." Obviously, they'd want to get you. She has no reason to. She has no idea why they were going after her. Obviously, because of the medallion, but still.
I was listening to this part. I was watching this with my headphones on, and they were turned up really loud. This part where she swings the thing and hits him in the face made me jump.
It made me wonder what the rules of these ghosts are, because I kind of already knew that much, when I gave this movie the serious rewatch, and I'm like, so you can hurt and stun the cursed people.
Well, they're not ghosts. They're basically decayed skeletons, but still have a physical form.
They're zombies.
They're zombies with personality. Yeah. They retain their but the thing is, if you shoot them, aside from in the last shot, we'll talk about later, if you shoot them, you stun them for a minute. If you club them, it takes them a couple of seconds to recover. Like, they feel pain.
Yeah, I think they feel pain.
As demonstrated here.
Yeah.
He's in pain.
I think they feel pain, and if you hit them in the head like we saw, I think it still kind of like racks their brain a little bit. But I think some of them have just, as we see later on, have just gotten used to pain, as you might see later with Barbossa, and don't realize it right away.
Right, physics are on your side, but the individual pirate may or may not have leveled up to, I don't give a fuck about pain. I mean, I don't really care about pain.
Yeah.
No,
there is a certain amount of maybe human reaction, even like psychologically, that it's not going to do any damage to you. If somebody dumps fire on you, you might have a moment of panic.
This is funny. She's trying to get the sword, but they're not real swords. They're just bolted to the thing.
Right.
Even if she got them, there's no way that would be sharp.
Yeah.
These two creeping around looking for her. I'm getting vibes from the Gogans from Pete's Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Petey.
We know you're here, puppet.
That's when she starts like realizing that it's not her that they're after.
Yeah. Well, they're even saying, we have something of ours. It calls to us.
Exactly, yeah. They felt the virgins in the Force.
And she's like, parlay. He's like, I know what parlay means.
I know the code.
Leave it to them to speak French.
There's Kano.
Right.
Kano.
Say goodbye. It's like,
It's like, goodbye.
Phew.
K.O. Oh, sorry. Finish him. No. Oh, this is funny.
He comes back and he's like, yeah. It's like, what the?
Oh, it's a nice little touch to give us us as the first viewing audience the idea that maybe something else is happening here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously with the trailers you would have known that, but bonk,
and he gets knocked out.
And nobody pays attention to him for a few hours.
And here's
like
the dog.
Prom.
Come on, doggy. Come on.
The poor puppers.
Oh, come on over here, you mangy mutt. No, I didn't mean it. Come back.
Yeah, you slobbering mangy cur. It's like, wow. I swear I'm not a Haitian.
Oh my God.
I went there.
Now's the time to play the card that I would have. It's like, listen, as a Cuban, you have to bring me to America. I have escaped an evil dictatorship, and I will take that Obama phone.
Again, again, a nice little reveal that just happens and lets you kind of like piece everything together.
What's cool is also is like, okay, this guy is not
they know each
exactly.
other.
This guy doesn't exactly have a big role in this movie, but he's kind of the perfect person to deliver this line.
Yeah,
it's like they picked exactly the right small role pirate to give the line, "You know nothing of hell." It's like, because he's like, he sounds genuinely tortured by, you know, the life they have, which, you know, there's a payoff to that later in the movie. He's one of the pirates who's especially angry when things go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, you know nothing of hell.
This was an awesome effect. That was so cool. It was the extent of what they could do. Somebody sat down and did an amazing analysis of the ability of their CGI.
Yep. And now CGI has gone downhill so much.
It has gone downhill.
The movie actually altered what Weta was doing in Lord of the Rings.
You know what? Good.
Because
that looks
downhill
great.
Because they're so rushed, they don't have time to finish it. So what we're seeing is unfinished CGI.
We have people who have never worked with real practical effects and don't know what a car crash looks like. So we have cars flipping out in unnatural ways, like they're made of like Nerf.
Like I
know what a car crash looks like. Have you ever seen Lightyear?
Yeah,
I
saw Borderlands.
Oh,
what the guys from the Corridor Crew channel say is, when it comes to VFX, you can have it. There's the triangle: good, fast, and cheap, and you can only have 2 of those ever. You can never have all 3. And the way Hollywood works now is it wants it fast and it wants it cheap, which means it's not
So
good.
you get 0 for 3.
Right.
You want good, fast, and cheap. That's at a city street corner.
Yeah, there you go. I just want to point out though, this, as far as that CGI goes, the analysis of what they could do with it and the way that they use it to dramatic effect, you have to give them an A+. They're like, this is like the hard ceiling of our ability. And they're like, what about the tech time between now and then if we give you this task? They're like, we could maybe do this. And they're like, we can't sustain it. And it's like, well, how can we make it? It's like, oh, you know what? And it's like, so like some of these might have been inventive fixes to problems they had, but it adds to the movie so much, and it always tells the story a little bit when the moonlight hits them. It always tells you a little bit of the story, and it's never just thrown away. Maybe because it was such an expensive effect, but they don't use it like just to shock you. It's cool. It's part of the story.
Mm-hmm. This is a great little exchange here. Where
if you're ever negotiating with pirates, be very specific.
Very specific.
This is when Indiana Jones started to come into my mind.
I like how she starts talking to him. It's like, oh, we be just pirates, miss. You have to simplify it for us.
That's a big word.
She gives her demand.
Pirates.
What's the line? I'm disinclined to acquiesce to your request.
Yeah, I'm going to say that.
No.
I'm going to try that in the subway and see if I don't get stabbed.
Again, fantastic character intro, because he's the pirate leader. He's manipulative because he makes her think that he's dumber than he is, but he's also very intelligent because he has a better grasp on language than she thinks he has.
He knows the ways of courteous speaking. You know what I like about it is when she chooses the captain, they're shocked and a little bit, and I feel a little bit jilted. They're like, "What? You don't want to eat dinner naked with us? Why?"
It's like, I feel a bit shy. That's why.
Good one, Vax.
MC says he's the best actor in this that is chock full of great actors.
I agree.
Very true. I mean, granted, it's Jeffrey Rush, so it's not a surprise. Jeffrey Rush is kind of amazing, and brings it no matter what the role is. I mean, he brings it in serious roles.
Yeah.
He brings it in silly movies like this or Mystery Men. He's always good.
Mystery Man. I was about to bring up Mystery Man. I love
Casanova Frankenstein is such an underrated villain.
Casanova Frankenstein.
Look at how many great actors we've surrounded her with to make sure that she doesn't get stranded out there selling this unbelievable story of the Black Pearl. We've got, Academy Award winners and notables and people who probably like stars like Othello and stuff like that off Broadway as far as some of these actors.
I mean, she does kind of get stranded because like, well, you've got to take me back. He's like, first, I've got to do nothing. It was not part of our deal. And second, more like guidelines instead of rules.
The trivia for that is it's a callback to another movie.
Really?
It's a callback to a different movie that was in Amazon. Yeah, let me see if I can find that one.
It's like you must be a pirate for the guidelines to apply.
Yes,
and
I forgot that one.
Thirdly, they're more like guidelines than rules.
Such a great little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because he has obviously incentive to keep her there because she's claimed that her name is Elizabeth Turner. And he recognized that name in addition to having that medallion. So he's got incentive to keep her there. So regardless of whether or not he's been in the rules or not.
Hey Jacob.
Right. I didn't see this.
Lovett. Lovett's gotta go. Lovett's gotta go.
Yeah,
okay,
my little one.
I didn't see
She's
that.
screaming up a fit right now, so
oh,
I
that's
gotta go
okay.
put her down.
All right.
But it was a blessing. Thank you guys so much for allowing me to be here
Glad you
and
could come
listen
on.
to your guys' words.
Bye, Lovett.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye, Lovett.
Bye.
It's a pleasure.
Later. So yeah, I didn't notice this part. There are ships that are damaged, so I guess that I can.
Can I again call this like a good CGI decision? Instead of trying to really sell this, like it'll be a couple of seconds, people will be looking at the front. Just do what you have to do. We're not building 3 ships and setting them on fire.
Yeah. He's like, we have to go after them. They have Elizabeth. They're like, no.
Which, having been married, I'm like, if you just could see a few years into the future, maybe you just, let him take her.
We have the other one. What's the other one that looks almost like her?
Go find Natalie Portman. You know what? I have it on my TV and I can't pull up the trivia. One of the trivia things was the guidelines, not rules, a callback to another movie. Maybe one of the movies that these people made. Like maybe another Jerry Bruckheimer movie. Is it like Roadhouse or Days of Thunder? Yeah, I didn't make a great note of that one. Sorry, guys. I was kind of fascinated by like the recurring Raiders of the Lost Ark stuff in the movie, like the evil monkey. Yeah, we've seen that one before. The mysterious medallion.
Yeah. One thing about this scene, they're making plans, and they're getting the ship ready to go. I mean, it's not like they're not going after her.
It's just not as quickly as he would like.
Yeah.
Oh, and I missed one thing when they have that fight in Port Royal when the town gets in, when the pirates overrun it and grab them. That fight turns into sort of an approximation of the fight from Last of the Mohegans because he's going at it with the tomahawk. He's got a tomahawk, got a couple of them. He's got a pistol. So he just kind of runs down that street doing the same thing we see Nathaniel do when he does his sprint from one side of the battlefield to the other to rescue his girlfriend there. Which is the most iconic part of that movie. So yet another kind of lifted scene. I didn't mind it. I thought it was, but it wasn't exactly a homage. It was a little bit of a lift.
So he goes to the pirate.
I like how he decides to fake. he covers up the fact that he was failing at breaking out. Like, was that ego, or he just wants to try to break out a little more? Because he's got the dog. He got the dog to give him the bone, not the keys. So he's trying to pick the lock with the bone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's seen Lockup. He knows if he keeps trying, it'll work.
Yeah, so he wants him to go with her and help. But he's like, oh, what incentive do I have? So he's like, I can help you escape. I built this cage.
Like I have the key that the others don't have. So
Just in case they lock me up in here, I can get out.
Like, at this point, I'm starting to realize some of the meta of this movie is what if Yoda was an alcoholic?
who says he wasn't?
He is alcoholic. Yeah,
Well, Johnny Depp and him with the delivery and the weirdness. Yeah, I'm like, or even Obi-Wan.
He has a cane to keep himself up.
But it's a little bit that relationship.
I love his he's like, we're going to commandeer that ship, the big one.
And that's where they have the conspicuously wrong blue flag.
Yeah. I like the line where he's like, let's not play around. It's like, he goes, what are you prepared to do for this one? He's like, I'd die for it. He's like, oh, well, no worries then.
This was
right?
This was a great gag. This is a great gag. Although the trivia was unnecessary, this would not work in real life. It's like, yeah, okay,
Obviously not.
We've achieved that level of immersion. That's the one thing I want to say. This movie is fantastic at immersion. When this movie knows it's weak, what do? They crank up not the action, but the score, the performances, the direction, and the dialogue. And now we're ready for something that the physics don't apply right now in the world of Pirates of the Caribbean, which it's fun, and we're going to pay this off later.
At this point, they've earned our suspension of disbelief.
Totally agree. That's why I said that one stunt like kind of took me out of it, because that one was maybe a little too early in the movie and a little too obviously impossible.
So I'm just trying to look up that flag, because
here's the thing: it's the British naval ensign of its time. It's the real flag, but what they did was they misflagged the ships with the British naval ensign in use in the much farther south in the Atlantic and in the Indian Ocean.
Oh, okay.
Their flags should be heavily red. The Union Jack should be on an all red flag, rather than their Union Jack, I believe, is on an all blue flag. So they have a correct British naval ensign. It's the wrong one. And also, I guess we have to repeat, this is a mercantilist army. It's like a company. And if I had enough money, I could buy my way into being captain or a commander. Like Norrington has, he's good in spite of that.
I love this. You're either a genius or insane. And he's like,
yep.
It's funny how those often coincide.
Yeah, which is exactly what Dr. Evil says, right? The fine line between
I love this.
genius and the
I love
sublime.
this. He steps in the trap, and he's dragging it along with him.
And they red herring us because there's no real payoff to it. It's just funny.
Yeah, it is. Look, they used it to climb up the ship.
Mm-hmm.
They tied it off here and threw it up to get up the
barrel
ship.
helped pull them out of the water or something.
Yeah. So it's not just done for a gag or something.
I'm just briefly looking into this. So Teague, I don't want to sound like I'm coming out after you with any kind of contradiction, with any kind of knowledge. What I'm looking at is that the red flag with the Union Jack in the corner would be a civil ensign, and the blue with the Union Jack in the corner would be a state ensign. So that would suggest that maybe instead of different sides of the continent, it might have been a state-owned ship versus civil. potentially.
They might have a reason to explain it. All I can say is I'm not ready to go and fight on that hill simply because of this. That trivia came off of the Amazon trivia problems. The next thing was right though. The next thing it said was continuity error. After jumping out of the water, they're bone dry.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Immediately. So
They
it's a mixed bag.
first before
I'm
they-
willing to believe you're right on that one because I'm willing to bet their movie continuity critique is better than their historical analysis guy who's like, wrong flag. He was just like drunk after lunch or something.
I like Dempsey's
care about the historicity of this. It's a fantasy movie.
Yeah,
I don't
I like
care.
Dempsey's explanation that it's basically a live action Dungeons and Dragons campaign where the DM says you can't do that. Player says, but I rolled a 20.
Right?
I'm gonna agree.
Oh.
It's so true. It's real enough. Here's the thing. They don't break or destroy your immersion. This movie is great at immersion building. It's a real British ensign. It's a little bit debatable. Big deal.
Yeah.
We can live with it.
Yeah.
George Lucas always says in his famous screenwriting book, which was only like 90 minutes long, so I listened to it a lot. One of the things he says is, if I do a lot of things that just defy the law of science and physics and other stuff and just beat you up with it, you might not notice it, but your brain will, and it will build up to the point where you're going to start to dislike the movie, even if it's good. Because if somebody in the background, like that guy walking up the plank with the barrel, when we go back, he is teleported somewhere else like that, we might not really notice it, but there's a part of your brain that does. And if you slowly unsettle an audience with poor filmmaking like that, you can't sell stuff like some of these stunts. So it has to be really carefully made. They're tracking every extra, and they're doing a great job.
Yep.
Like we said, when they do go a little bit too far in a few places, they've well earned our belief. For instance, that one weird stunt where he couldn't have possibly done that physically, and the boat underwater. At that point, we'd already seen a couple of things, so we're like, all right, this is less bad. I accept more than I did 10 minutes ago, and this movie increases that every 10 minutes in a good and entertaining way, not a lowering the bar lazy way like some other stuff we've seen.
Yeah, I tried to scroll all the way back to the early chat, but there's a lot there. I can't find it. I can't remember who said early on that it's rule of cool the movie, and I'm okay with that.
Exactly.
Anybody who wants,
that's how it generally is.
Yeah, it's unfortunate with the movie watches. I mod a lot of watch parties. People have a lot to say, and there's so many great comments, and sifting through just the mutual hellos and finding the really great stuff and being able to react to it. You can just do your best. And then later when you see it, you write down a few notes and just say it later and let people hey, sorry I missed it. Best we can do, but folks, we care. We absolutely care.
Speaking of missing it, what was that dude thinking swinging out there to nothingness?
I don't know.
I think it's supposed to show how very quickly he moved the ship out of position, because when he starts his swing, apparently he's going to make it. That's one stunt that doesn't work so great. They should have gotten rid of, because it does create a weird, any stunt you question should have been cut, in my opinion. Yeah. That's the way action scenes work. If it makes me wonder, in the prequels when they're fighting with the swords, I don't mind the spinning around backwards, because even though it's dumb, they're really good swordsmen and they're selling a certain kind of fight style that's more dramatic than real. In the sequels, when they're baseball batting at each other over and over, that's much more disturbing. So I think this one was just a mistake, and they're we need it for run time.
Both ships are moving.
Right.
They kind of make it out they start and stop. No, they're actually both moving at the same time.
That might be why
they've raised more sails to pull away, probably.
Well, they're going in different directions, right? So one ship is got the wind and one doesn't. And also, not that it matters, but if you're in the right position, you can cut the wind off from the other ship for a couple of minutes and get a little bit of a jump start like that. But Maybe my best guess is it's so conspicuous, and this movie's long, so I'm wrong. They didn't need it in there for runtime. This movie is pretty long. It's 225. So that swing, I think it's supposed to show that he's such a good seaman, and he's so able that he gets like a really smart sailor still can't time it right and misses by quite a bit because he's moving faster than he should and using the other ship's momentum against them in the best possible way, and maybe turning in. He's a good seaman.
Not only is the movie long, we're only 46 minutes in, and we're almost 2 hours into the stream. We need to get scrubbing, y'all. We're going to be here.
We'll get the post-debate crowd any minute. Analysis of the post-debate should be over in about 5 more minutes. We're going to have 25 concurrents any second. Just put out another tweet that says we're not talking about politics.
So here we find out that his father was a pirate. We all knew that, except for him.
And we all know that
my
Orlando
father
Bloom,
was a navigator on a spice freighter.
The casting of Bootstrap Bill is to me one of the biggest annoyances. He looks nothing like Orlando Bloom, and they're like, "Oh, you look just like him."
This was again an Obi-Wan Luke moment, but what if Obi-Wan was an alcoholic?
He fought in the Red Coat Clone Wars against the pirate droids.
Yeah, he did.
Your father was once a separatist, as was I. We fought for Count Dooku.
See, this is one of the great lines that comes up here in this movie. Is like it's like there are only only two certainties: what a man can do and what he can't do. It's like you can either accept that your father was a pirate, or not, and I can drop you into the water, or accept the fact that I can't sail this ship on my own and I need you.
I had a note for that. You can do. There is no try, only do or do not.
And they're at Tortuga.
Tortuga. I always loved saying Tortuga.
This looks like a fun place, doesn't it?
It's turtle.
They sell that. I would want to go there.
It has a unique smell.
Not sure I deserve that. Giselle, I may have deserved that.
Who was she?
What?
I might have deserved that.
Exhibit 1 is
like wake him up.
Exhibit 1 for Amber Heard, right?
Yeah.
It's the Dixie Chicks.
Oh, that's how she learned how to do that. Okay.
I think they're called the Chicks now, but that's funny. It's like you're not going to survive Gettysburg, and if you don't stop doing these things, you're not going to survive this movie either. Kilrain, would you please?
He's like, "Hey, we need you." It's like, all right, fine, whatever. Splash.
I like the second.
That was for the smell.
Lost, I'm only awake. That was for the smell.
I'm already awake.
Already awake.
And they're like, oh, okay, well, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, that dude's got some good mutton chops.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I hope
feel
that's
like mutton chops
real...
are very difficult to pull off well, and he is one of the few that does.
Once upon a time,
in every movie. That works.
Isn't his name Kevin Conroy, right? Kevin Conway, and he's also Sergeant Kilrain in the Gettysburg movie, right? Am I tripping?
I don't know that.
It's the same guy.
No idea.
I'm gonna try to look that up. While I'm looking up, I did actually rock some mutton chops for a little bit, but before the beard, I basically did a goatee plus mutton chops. It basically mean I shaved a 1-inch strip on either side of my goatee. I don't know why. It was dumb. It was terrible.
Yeah, and then his hair on the top of his head migrated to his face.
That's true. I didn't go bald. It just moved to a different territory.
Migration.
It happens.
The migration patterns of the modern beard of liberty.
I got a certain injection for a certain numbered disease, and all my hair grew back, so it's great for me. And I grew bat wings too.
So he's like, hey, I need a crew. And that guy over there, he's Bootstrap Bill's son. It's like, oh, is he now?
By the way, they throw out their pirate code here. I like that when they drink their toast, take it all, and then they click glasses and give nothing back.
This is funny. He's like the drunk lady of the night. He's like, please go away, please.
I don't know. Maybe don't, you don't immediately turn the lot lizards away, Will. You give them a chance to make their pitch, and then you decide.
There's a crazy town in the there's crazy town is in the ride too, so this part is a little bit from the ride. Yeah, that's the guy. He's in Gettysburg too, I think.
Yeah, he might be. He's in a lot of TV shows from Britain. So
I think he's an American actor,
just
but
like
the thing is, he has a great 19th century look.
Hang on.
Dempsey said, tell people that my hair got scared of my face and ran away down my back.
He was born in Bristol, England. That actor.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is it Kevin Conroy or is it someone else?
Kevin Conroy's Batman.
Kevin McNally.
One guy's Kevin Conway and one guy's Kevin Conroy. They have incredibly similar names. The Gettysburg actor, I thought this was the same guy, so it's not him. Sorry, guys. My bad.
That's okay. It's all right.
Strong
I've just seen him
resemblance.
in several British stuff.
Yeah, I was going down the IMDb trying to find him, but picture he's got is an older picture. He looks much different.
His American equivalent, who is in Gettysburg, has like similar roles. So like he must have been a real thorn, and they must have been real thorns in one another's sides.
Yeah, it's like the captain said you would say that. He's like,
and if so,
if that being so, you'd eat with the crew, and you'd be naked.
He looks so disappointed.
Like, fine.
Yeah. This bothers them a little. They're a little surprised. They're like, wait, so you're not going to eat with us? Wait.
It's like, dang it, I thought you would consider that.
The carpenter is carving your likeness to put in the front of the ship in anticipation of this.
Yes, that's true, Dempsey. Rest in peace, Kevin Conroy, Batman's real voice.
Mm-hmm.
And that is that like
they make all this food.
Caviar?
I think those are grapes. Might be.
They look like berries of some kind. Maybe not grapes, but yeah.
Yeah, some kind of berry. Yeah, but they just
Why
make
wouldn't
this
they have
food
seafood?
just for her to eat. Just for her to eat.
There you go. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they knew that she needed to fatten up a little bit, so they made her a bunch of food.
Well, think about their plan, right? They can't eat. They talk about how they can't eat and they want to. So it's like, we're going to kidnap some people. So you guys go kidnap some food for them too while we're on it.
Well, I mean, I guess it could be argued that they can eat, but they don't get satisfied by it. So maybe that if you've gone so many years and like you have that hunger that can't be satisfied, you'd still go through the ritual of eating.
Yeah, does he eat in front of her? Because I think he's kind of specific about the fact he can't taste it and stuff too. I don't remember if he actually eats.
The closest he gets is he drinks wine. But yeah, he does say it like turns to ash in your mouth. And like later on, he like holds an apple that has a bite out of it and he looks at it and then throws it over the side of the ship. We don't see it, but I can understand the argument that maybe they would want to go through that ritual every now and then.
Wine. He needs that glass of wine for that Bond villain moment too, where he really sells how evil and powerful he is.
I love this. This is so good.
Explains why they don't smoke.
We get information when we need to get information. I like it. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
Your father, Abner Ravenwood. I mean, Bootstrap Bill had this medallion. So this sequence is where I got the impression that this is the final piece that was sent away to safeguard his son and give him a bargaining chip in this weird, crazy game that he's stuck up in.
Yeah.
And
the only reason they didn't find it was because Will was floating on that piece of wood instead of in the water.
I may have to get
somebody I think looked after
piece.
him was. My headcanon is like the last thing his dad did fighting off the last couple of guys was kind of look after him and like push that piece of water out. And he's like, "Well, you don't have a woman with you like Leo did, so you're probably gonna make it on this piece of wood." And he's just like, went and did what he had to do.
Yep.
Jack.
Dempsey said they're stone cold sober. They're bone dry, if you will. But tis.
We have a lot of people magically drying off when they use the transporter to get onto the ship, and they just filter out the H2O out of their clothes.
Look at Jeffrey Rush right there. Just like he's not like really over the top chewing the scenery.
No,
but he's definitely chewing a little bit of scenery when he's playing this role.
Yeah,
he's been told to give it like 105%, not 110. He's perfectly delivering exactly what the director told him, and this director. One of my notes in this movie was that we mix action, comedy, and story so well. So here, the comedy has been swapped out for slight horror, but it's funny horror. So we're telling some of the story, and we have action and comedy, or a little bit of funny horror and comedy. And then here's where Marion grabs the knife while Belloc isn't looking. So he's been drinking my family label.
Well, this could take a little bit from that, but in that scene in Raiders, they're playing each other. There's only one person playing the other person here. Well,
there's only one person here, right? One person's a ghost.
Barbosa is playing her.
We already established zombie.
Yeah,
neither. He's neither of those things.
He's not really. He's an undead guy because he has his personality, right? A zombie is just blanked out.
He's just
if you've listened to my show, you know what a zombie is.
Could be a ghoul.
He has monkeypox.
Oh God! Don't ask about that way as a monkey.
He's some kind of cursed individual. I don't know. He's somewhere. He's stuck between worlds, kind of.
We should show a picture of just like the undead look and just like scurvy, not even once.
I love that.
Yeah,
he peeks around the corner. Arg.
Yes, exactly. Like he knows how ridiculous it is. Like he's like playing into it, being like the spooky ghost.
By the way, Dempsey's got a good point. Like
this part,
the miserable crew because they can't drink.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. I like this.
These are they're pirates.
Just curious. After killing me, what were you planning on doing next?
Yeah, I mean he's not chewing scenery like Ian McDermott in the as Emperor Palpatine at the episode 3,
which was also the performance that was asked for, though. That was I think that was asked for too.
Yes, but I mean you can tell he's like he's nibbling on some scenery here.
He's showing he has his Academy Award, right? He's like, I will dial it up exactly, and then give us 3 different takes with different levels of intensity, and he's just like. Probably they're like after one take, they're like, "My God, you're a master. We're going to use that one." It seems like he has that level of talent.
So good.
The CG here, yeah, it definitely looks good, like you're saying, Jacob.
Oh, I thought you meant in like a food sense. I'm like, no.
But I mean, kind of like Teak, what you were saying earlier. It's a great combination of horror and comedy and such like that. And it's very well balanced. The lighting, it's easier to do CG in the dark because you can hide some things. But they also include drastic lighting to kind of accentuate it at the same time.
And people dancing in and out of the moon, like running in and out of the moonlight. Like they'll run through a place that shadows them from it, and they'll be a human for a moment, or some of them will be human as they slowly pass like a shadow. It's great.
Yeah, like right here. Yeah, when he passes slowly into the moonlight. You best be believing in ghost stories.
A revenant is a form of a creature originating from European folklore. Supposedly, it is the spirit of a deceased human being that has returned to the mortal plane as visible. A ghost or a vengeful spirit that has possessed a dead body, likely its own body. I would like to possess the body of Sydney Sweeney if that's the cost that I have to go give up my mortal form. I've killed enough other Highlanders that I could accept that. I mean, maybe that is the prize.
I mean, you realize you can't just stand in front of a mirror and jump up and down forever.
No, I would go out and make movies so I could see myself from other angles. No, I would continue the hard work ethic of being Sydney Sweeney.
He's like, back to work. You can sleep when you're dead.
I like the fact that, I think we have to appreciate the fact that Elizabeth Swann is taking this really well, all things considered. Is everybody else would just like be comatose,
Right, like she's definitely
like a mental breakdown.
Well, now that she's got that
she had her
off,
freak
she's
out, no
ready.
doubt.
I do. I really like this. Like this, the
This
crew
is
is like,
great.
yeah, they're great. This is Cotton, sir. Cotton, you have the fortitude to execute the orders ordered to you. Carry them out. Blah 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 blah. It's like he's mute, sir. His tongue cut out. Taught the parrot to talk for him. Nobody's figured out quite how yet.
Parrot.
Yeah, the parrot talks like someone who's been taught by someone who can't speak because they have no tongue. So when he asks the parrot, it's like, ah! And he's like, we figure that means yes. And he's like, all right.
Actual hottest woman in this movie.
Be careful. Disney is really not happy with any of us, I don't think.
Zoe Saldana
is there
what are they gonna do?
She looks great here. Yeah, before the indignity of Uhura.
Time in this movie. She should have been in the rest of them.
You stole my thunder. Star Trek actress alert. We missed the part where she walks up to the holo deck and says, "Make me a mid-18th century pirate."
Let me guess, you didn't deserve that one either. No, I deserved that one. You stole my ship. Borrowed your ship.
By the way, she's from the Bronx, so good acting with the accent.
I love that the way he looks up at the end into nothingness with I think is entirely a Johnny Depp just like mannerism, and then these two guys kind of go like, "What's he looking at?"
I remember seeing this in theaters, and when he pulled the hat off her, I was like, "Who is that?" Oh my gosh! It's like that chick is hot. Then they put her on blue fluty CGI for Avatar, and I'm like, oh, what a waste.
She would be the captain if they made this movie now.
Probably.
She was the captain of the Star Trek reboots. She was in charge of the Enterprise. She just kind of told Chris Pine what to do in those stupid movies.
Breathe. Breathe. We're in like sailing ships. We're not in space right now. Relax.
Sorry, I saw New Hura and I got a little angry.
Later, Jamma. Thanks for stepping by.
Later, Jamma.
I think we should tweet out that we're live and not talking about politics and see how many people show up. I'm going to do that.
Yeah, so if you've ever got stuck on a desert island and had to lash 2 sea turtles together with your back hair, you might be a pirate.
I knew it. I did it.
Man, don't make me show you my back hair. I could do it.
I can't show you my back hair. Made a rope.
But see, I keep the shoulder hair just in case I need a second rope.
I just like your unwillingness to sacrifice the beard.
Oh, no, I will never sacrifice the beard. Yeah, like you were saying earlier, he just keeps looking at the compass but doesn't explain it. And I kind of liked it better not explained.
I did too. I was like, it's an odd little detail, but because if you're watching this without any knowledge of the first, but it bleeds into the second one really well. And I do think it was intentional. I do think it was intentional.
I don't mind what they did with it in the second and third movie, but I like it just being a MacGuffin.
Yeah. Think how it would have been if they had just left it this way. You don't know why he keeps that compass or what it's for. Hey, R2.
R2, if I saw it, I completely already forgot it. And I'm certain I saw it. But now I'm worried. Oh, there it is. Nope, I see it now.
Stop rubbing it.
We might have to play this at the end.
I was almost expecting to start singing "World of Pure Imagination" during that little boat ride. We end up in the creepiest place in the world.
This part. Like...
Wait, creepiest place in the world. They go to Epstein Island. What are you talking about?
Yeah, this is actually, you know what? This becomes his island. Yeah,
This part here
they
is
actually did.
funny.
And by the way, I just want to say I was a little upset that the beginning of this movie had the part removed where it said one of the producers, the Weinstein Company. I didn't get to enjoy that, and he got an Academy Award for this. So, you know, just censorship in real life really just diminished my enjoyment.
This is the funny part. He's like, "How do we know it worked?"
Just caps him right in the chest. It's like, "You're not dead." He's like, "No, he shot me." He's like, what if it had worked?
Now, I would just like to ask Beard of Liberty about how many feet would he have missed by with a pistol that had no rifling in the barrel at that range at that time, right? I mean, no way.
It could have been spot on, but it could have also been really off.
He was at maximum lethal, reliable distance, like just at the edge of like anything could happen distance.
Don't worry, it's fantasy black powder and ball, pistols.
No. I was wondering what your take on it was, because I know you're somewhat of an enthusiast of these style things.
Yeah, especially as quickly as he just like puts it on target. Even with no sights, he's not looking down the barrel of it. That's
Splits
full
all
on,
four
just
ventricles.
Like yeah,
he's a natural.
Yeah, one could say that if he wasn't undead, it would have blown his lung out of his body.
There's going to be a shooting later where there's a Back to the Future effect to the bullet hitting him that we'll talk about. I want your opinion on too. All
they
we'll be there about 6 a.m. at this rate.
I love this too. He's like, "You all remember Captain Jack? Kill him."
Right?
Yeah, this is where he's wandering. He got. I had to look away for a minute. Like Will smacked Jack with the oar, knocked him out. He woke up with the oar in his arms or in his hands when like they were all missing. So I think he took them.
Right.
Yeah, but of course, being the suave pirate he is, he just like managed to talk his way out of anything.
Yeah.
Although he kind of stumbles with it at first, right? Trying to get parlay out. Parsley. Parlay.
So they
La 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 la.
and then the skinny guy's like, "Parlay? Yeah, parlay. That's it."
Damn, what fool thought of parlay? That would be the French.
Because no one likes the French.
I totally forgot my camera was off. I even made a face and leaned into the camera for that.
It's
their
funny.
dressing.
Someone was like, "Mando, don't you think that like that you have to be wrong? Someone has to like the French." No, even the French don't like the French. Okay,
I think when they're looking for a win, the Germans love them.
Han Solo and Princess Leia finally kiss. Oh wait, they don't.
Yep.
She literally.
But when they kiss
like,
French, so that's a win for France.
I'm like, lady, whoa there.
I mean, you guys did say make it obvious.
So as we can find out now, they're digging in the wrong place. I mean, they had the wrong person's blood. So that's the little thing that the headpiece of the staff of Ra passes on again, kind of sends him on a false mission.
He also asked at one point, he's like, "Why did you use my name?" And that's basically like calling a girl out in middle school for writing her name plus your last name in her like notebook 100 times. This kind of stalkerish. It's like, oh, what did you want to say here?
Definitely stalkerish. 100 times. Like,
I like this part. He's like, "You expect me to stand on an island while I watch you sail away on my ship?" And he's like, "No, I expect you to stand on the island while I sail away on my ship."
Yep.
And then I'll shout the name back at you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This every time that these two guys are on screen together having a back and forth, it's fantastic.
Yeah. And they limit that. They only give you little tiny moments of it too.
Look at the way he was looking at that fruit though, because Jack can eat it and he can. And he's like, mother.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is right before we get to the point where he throws that apple overboard in disgust.
Yeah.
Well, it's so that right there is like to the say whatever the occult and very very demonistic nature of the curse. And it's tied to like did they say the Aztecs or the Incas, right? And we've been to that cave. Did we fast forward through the part where they pick up something that's an exaggerated but absolute homage to the fertility idol from Raiders, right? One of the pirates just picks it up out of the it's one of the things in the pile of treasure. Looks a lot like the thing that Indy's going for. Well, yeah, we're past that point. But like there's a lot of nice beats in this movie. Like I didn't consider it member burying because that wasn't a thing yet. So I was like, oh, it's kind of like, they're trying to evoke Raiders. I like that they're doing that.
Well,
like maybe this is what Indiana Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying in 100 years Indiana Jones will be here.
Well, I was like, my thought is like member berries in and of themselves are not bad. It's when you overdo it and you make it extremely obvious. Like with that one, it was a passing thing. Like, oh,
it's
look,
earned.
Little member berry.
Earned too. It's earned. Mm-hmm. The movie has the veracity to get through this. Yep, here we go. And all the ills of the world were caused by one apple. So remember that when he throws it over.
And there were little things leading up to that where I think Jack was actually like testing because he takes a big risk later on when he picks up a coin, not knowing if it's actually if the curse is actually real. I think he was testing Barbossa in some of their exchanges during that and picking up clues.
Yeah.
And he's tantalizing him with the apple. And as I said, like all the ills of the world come from just one apple. And then, just if you want to cast it in stark terms, like this movie has like a clear set of stakes. It's like they've eaten from the tree of like forbidden knowledge. They have the gold and the curse, but like what they want now is the tree of life. And you can't have both. You cannot have both.
Right.
Yeah.
This is a nice little plan here. It's
what they say.
Show. I'm sorry, Jake. Go ahead.
I like when they take Jack down to the cell. He's like, apparently there's a leak.
Yeah, which would actually be fairly common with a lot of ships.
This did not throw me all the seamanship talk. They're like, open the squills and push the squedges, and I'm like, all right, whatever, I get it. It's no big deal. Because it's the equivalent of Star Trek technobabble. It's like the Tridian scan has come back, Captain. Yeah. What is the reading of the Tyrion Hall?
It's still very believable because like when Elizabeth says, again, it shows a little bit of her knowledge, and it's a believable amount of knowledge saying like we're shallower in the draft, right? So just toss things overboard, we can lose them in the shoals, and then like it also shows Will's ability because he turns around and sees that they're still gaining, and he puts his foot on that cannon before they can shove it overboard and say we're going to need that. But they've also tossed over all their shots, so whenever they have to fight, they basically are just left putting anything that they can put in there, which would not have been uncommon during the day.
Yeah.
I mean, because sometimes you want cannon shot, sometimes you just want basically shards of metal or glass, like what they say later on.
The pirates have the full array of stuff that you would fire at people. They
around the ship.
Yeah. It's the Black Pearl generates its like own cloud of like mystic, like evilness. It's like singularity. But the pirates, when we see them loading their cannons, they've got cannonballs, and they also have the most useful thing, the chain shot, which is two smaller balls held together with a chain. That's designed to swing through the rigging and just take out all the ropes. And then your ship becomes harder and harder to control, which is part of this battle. And it's part of this battle in this movie, because I think what happens is they've lightened up their ship, and some of the dialogue in here is we don't have to stay ahead of them forever. We just have to get to this point, which they then reach, and then they pull a maneuver, which may have been based off getting to that point. Like maybe the wind is just perfectly favorable for them there, but
everything
they do
about
a couple
this...
of things that help them out.
Everything about this fight is just full on Sea of Thieves. The different types of cannon shots, the dropping the anchor to pull the U-turn.
I love the U-turn anchor maneuver.
I love the midget is like shoving stuff in the.
Would have been great to see
in the barrel, and then grabs what's his name's flask and shoves it in there.
The flask, yeah.
I would have shoved the midget in.
For the purposes of what they're using it for, though, when they say scraps of metal and nails, that's just fine because they're using it to blow it like a shotgun across the deck of the other ship. They're trying to sweep the other guys off the deck of the ship.
Yeah.
Naval conflict, as we had said earlier, extremely brutal. Like if I'm gonna survive a naval battle, like if we, like you guys, like let's say we're all going in it. You know what, Mando, you can come too. Like we're all going in there. You've got your Beskar axe, and we're all going in. Like we have to get like psyched up, and they did do this. They gave us some booze first, and they're like, guys, go hack those people to death with these axes, and we were like, okay. But then we did that, or we died.
I mean, we see that even before we get to like later on with the on deck combat is when these two ships get side by side, you can look into the eyes of the person you're about to send like an 8-pound cannonball through.
Yeah.
I mean, that's if you have cannonballs. Some of them, you know, like Dempsey was saying, like grape shot or like what they've got on this is.
There's a phrase that I completely forget where it's from, so I can't give it proper credit. But like, there's an old phrase like, "Wait till you see the whites of their eyes before you shoot."
That's a very accurate thing to say. And I just want to point out one other thing that's going on here is these ships, look, they're going up and down, right? So the added skill here in real life that the movie doesn't really give you is we have to time the length of the fuse of our cannon with luck and try to like maybe light it just right so that it hits the cannon and touches off at the moment that we're both at the same level when the cannonball will reach you. So I might want my cannon to go off just as you hit the bottom and I'm at the top. So I light it then, and as we almost level, woof, and I've got a shot. But I might shoot that right into the water. And as we found out from multiple ballistic tests, if it hits the water, it won't go very far or do much damage unless you're quite lucky and it's quite close. But hitting below the waterline is ideal.
I'm going to be that guy, and I probably said cannons earlier, but on ships they would have been called guns.
Correct.
They call them guns, I believe. So I think they're good on that. They did their research.
But yeah,
I
love this. Holes in my ship.
Stop putting holes in my ship.
And
just
when they
really
get
quickly to sorry, I'm
deck
sorry.
combat. Sorry, when they do get to deck combat, you can't give. You have to go forward. If you give and you're the guy in front, you die. So you have to
because the guy behind you will stab you because you're in front of them.
No, because you'll get stabbed by the other people.
You'll get stabbed either way because there are people coming behind you too.
Yeah, you'll get stabbed. You'll get skewered both ways.
I apologize.
Go ahead.
That sort of combat and we modern minds think of these ships as having a lot of space. Almost none of them had much space at all. I mean, a lot of them were like your standard, like single wide, like trailer home space, like deck space. And you would have like 20 people up there trying to fight. It was, you move forward, you give it your all, or you are done.
Mm-hmm. Well, also the other thing that people don't realize. Go ahead.
Oh, did you see the spoons and forks, by the way? No, it's the other thing maybe you don't realize. Their huge navy came with some compromises. The ship that gets Blackbeard was a military ship with no cannons. It just had tons and tons of Marines with muskets. So there's ships designed for that too. So we got all sorts of weirdness going on at this time. But here we go with the ball shot. This is the ball and chain. Not to be confused with marriage, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, that was the I've got big ball shot. But here we go. See how those two balls are connected with a chain? And what you do is you put them into the lighter gun. They go flying out and they helicopter through the rigging of the other ship, taking out your ability to control it. So now you've got to have guys crawl up your rigging and try to repair that so that you don't go. And at this point, ramming into each other or drifting apart becomes an open question because you're beating the crap out of each other's ability to navigate. So here's the joke from Buster Crab movies in the old days.
Oh man! Now somebody's going to have to stop loading cannons and go hammer a board or two on that to get it back up, right, Mando?
Right, you have to if you don't put the mast back up, you can't steer the ship.
Ugh, that's gonna take at least 1 2x4. Oh damn.
I feel like at this point they should have stopped the fight and
Gonna
been
take
like,
two.
I think it'd be more interesting to fix the ship first and then rejoin combat sometime later. Yeah, you know, that would make
they
sense.
would have done.
Just have somebody stand up. Time out. Time
Well,
out.
what-
Don't shoot.
There
We need
in
to fix
some
the
naval
ship.
combat that what you would actually try and do is to like get away from your opponent long enough, maybe like go around a rock or do some quick repairs and then come back around. Like that was a strategy that was implemented.
You
Yeah,
know what
because they're
I'm
not
thinking right
exactly
now?
super
and
maneuverable.
two,
Let's not get
at
too
least naval
tactical, but
battles. You're wanting to capture the other ship, not destroy it. Because
There,
if
you-
you
you've
capture it,
anticipated
you
my
have
thought.
another ship in your
Armada.
Well, for them, they have a ship because their ship's mast is down. They don't have anything but a very fancy canoe now. They need to take the other
Exactly.
ship or they're all going to die.
Exactly.
They just need some Flex Seal. Or maybe Flex Tape.
It's a duct tape. So
Yeah, I
at
like-
least I
I
have
like how you
some
bring-
booze.
check.
No, like he doesn't. He brings
Brings
it
it
back.
back.
He hands it to him. He says it's empty.
Well, that's why he explains why he wasn't more accurate with his gunfire.
And then he just goes berserk. My booze.
And he kind of says it like it's empty. Like I didn't even get any. It was empty when it came to me. So they leave Will on the boat and take everybody. Oh,
I like
we named
the monkey makes
Jack.
it. That was important to me.
Yes.
Around the time this movie came out, my parents adopted a dog, a Catahoula, if y'all know what that is, like a Louisiana cur.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And good dogs.
Cool dog.
And he was partly named Cracker Jack, but also because of this movie, the line that my mom liked is she would say, "We named the puppy Jack."
We named the
So he was Jack. He passed away many years ago. Good dog.
By the way, I like that they built a big enough model to have a fun explosion. Before we
Oh,
cut to
yeah.
the CGI from a distance, they said, here's the thing. We used to root things in reality more. We blow up a really decent model, and then we cut away for the long shot. That was, okay, like, there was no way
I
to do that to
think
scale before anyway.
I think it was a little bit more than a model. I think it was like maybe like a 2/3 scale built on a barge.
Oh, absolutely. By model, I mean, yeah.
Okay,
Of representative heroic size to overcome the fact that a drop of water is always the same size and to make perception
Yeah.
look correct, exceeding 80 feet at least, if not more. But we blew it to pieces in a way that was very convincing, and we might have been able to smooth out the texture of the water to make it look more like a bigger boat blew up too, by the way. But we don't ask too much of the CGI. When we cut back to the farther away scene of the ship finishing off the explosion and just being moribund, that's when we use the CGI. And it's only just so great, but it's not selling the scene like that explosion earlier did. And that mix of real effects and CGI is something people should look into, because these guys are out there and they haven't had work in 20 years. Guys, get some believability back in your movies. Blow up some stuff.
Yeah. I like what he again, if you're negotiating with pirates, be specific.
Yep.
They're like genies. But also, I gotta head on out.
Oh.
I'm
Okay.
sorry.
That's okay. Is there anything you want to plug or anything?
I should be on Roman's channel Thursday, and I think we're rolling the dice with Nadia and the Inside All Day podcast on Saturday. Other than that, I'm not sure right now because I am also coaching Little League soccer. Because I was convinced to. Yeah, convinced. That's the word. By a very persuasive individual.
Have you thought about gambling on it to recoup your losses? Because you can control the outcome, you know.
I mean, I have an opportunity to pour into the next generation and also give them scars and trauma like I got.
Yeah.
So
Your kid wants to
win-win.
start? Sounds like $100 request to me.
All right, guys. Well, it was so much fun being on a
Later.
stream as always with you guys.
Sorry
and
I really didn't expect
Later.
this movie to go this long. I thought we'd be dead pretty quick,
It's
but
fine.
it's okay.
Bye.
Later, Mando.
That's sort of the built-in problem with the 10-second fast-forward method. At some point, I had to concede that I needed to hit it like 4 or 5 times before I commentated.
I'll be having that dress back. I want to wear it later.
With a movie this
It's
good,
still
honestly, I don't think we've been pedantic. Every scene has been sort of very well shot, very well framed. Every scene, a painting, as they say.
This is a 2-hour movie that doesn't feel like a 2-hour movie when you're watching it because they don't waste
2 hour and 25-minute movie. Actually,
they don't waste time, and even when
they very well paced, very well paced.
By the way, how many of these things could be an oil painting on your wall?
Yeah. I love the walking the big exaggerated paces.
Well, she's already like she's starting to outthink him here. She's like, wait, idiot, alcohol. Oh, wait, this is why human beings exist. I can manipulate him with alcohol. I'm a woman.
Yeah,
I'm beautiful, and I'm going to get him drunk because he's going to
Welcome to the Caribbean.
Yeah, she has found the truth of like his legend. Is he didn't have
his treasure is he has a secret cache of rum.
Well, it's not even that. It's that he didn't have this big magical escape plan. It's just some traders happened by after like 3 days. It was complete luck.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it was before he ran out of alcohol, quite clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Caribbean, love.
Welcome to the Caribbean.
So this is it. Everybody's trip to hedonism, but like a little more intense and a lot more drunk, and like like maybe they ship their whatever. But she's totally controlling the situation now. They do a good job of selling the idea that she just might be wasted. You have to catch that knowing look she gives when she sort of looks from the booze to him and puts 2 and 2 together. That like, you know what, I can turn him into an instant idiot.
Yeah.
Yep. Right there.
I'm going.
Yeah. It's not a stretch, and I've got idiot juice.
It's like the way he gulps that down. That would burn.
Yeah, I mean, rum was the first hard alcohol I ever drank, but I've never been able to down it like that. Never wanted to either. And I like it.
Me neither.
Not like that.
Not rum, but I have tried a gulp of hard liquor. It is. You have to be really drunk to not hate it.
I don't know. When you say really hard liquor, what are we talking? Really are we talking like jet fuel, moonshine, that kind of stuff?
Look, I'm just saying even regular hard liquor, just to take a gulp burns like.
Why is the rum always gone?
But
but why is the rum gone?
This right here, I kind of have a little bit of an issue with because maybe this is old style higher proof rum, but modern rum is still more water than alcohol.
No, he throws a few other things.
Which means you have to heat it.
Watered down
which means
rum.
you have to heat it up in order to get the alcohol to vaporize in order to ignite. So this would have to be at least like 55% or more.
I think he says he when he's freaking out, he's like he may list 2 or 3 other things that were in there. Mm-hmm. That's why he repeats. So why'd you burn the rum? Because she could have burned the whole place down and done whatever she needed to do without burning the rum.
I love that when he turns around and sees that ship, he's like, "I'm never going to hear the end of this."
I like that they just cut their capture and we pick up the action after he's inevitably surrendered, rather than just like inviting a chase scene that we don't want to have.
Yep.
I love this. There's like, he's a pirate. No, what? No, he didn't steal anything. He was just on a ship with pirates. Oh, he did steal the ship. Oh.
I appreciate the two doofus guys from the British side are on the ship.
You gotta bring them along.
Yeah.
Like I said, they harken back
it's basically
to Disney
Laurel
animation.
and Hardy.
And a lot of Disney animation characters, seriously. Which probably were lifted from Laurel and Hardy, because Disney wasn't exactly out there inventing things.
So they...
By the way, just for using the word pirate over and over on this stream, how much is YouTube going to hate us and think we're directing people to go
Pirate.
get movies in a nefarious manner?
Pirate.
This is the point where
That's
they're
sailing
like
the high seas.
they're recounting the tale of his dad, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Right.
Okay. I just have to check because I had little time to watch this today, so I watched it at 2x speed, and I'm very familiar with it. So I caught most of it. So I'm just little
They
moments here.
They
and
didn't
there.
like how his dad didn't like what they did to Jack,
Mhm.
and he told him all this, so they tied him to a cannon and threw him overboard.
Yeah. Which initially sounds like eternal torture until later on we see that they're just willingly walking through along the bottom of the ocean.
Water.
But yeah. I guess at least
I mean,
initially,
if you're tied to it.
like what I said earlier, you have that. I would imagine you would still have some of that human reaction to like one of the guys when the coals was poured over his head. So there would still be probably a decent amount of panic being tossed overboard, but still.
Yeah, this isn't the most advantageous immortality. Only Johnny Depp is able to come up with a couple of things that are advantageous about it, which he flips on them later. Spoiler alert, Johnny's going to outsmart the bad guys. But yeah, you feel pain and you're subject to physics.
Yeah.
And you can't shoot lightning or anything cool like that.
So he goes in there to try to sweet talk him and lure him out, and tells Norrington, "We'll bring him out on the boats, and then you can attack him." And he's telling Barbosa's like, "Oh, come on, we'll take both ships, and you can be Commodore. We'll get you a really big hat."
Yeah, and he's like, "Boys, take a walk."
Yeah.
What about the boats?
Initially Jack's like, "To the boats." "Oh, I'm sorry. You're the boss." "Boys."
The funny thing is that neither side actually do precisely what he tells them to do. So
yeah.
Because
Norrington doesn't wait where he's supposed to. Yeah. Because nobody trusts him. Neither side.
He takes the gold out of the chest to curse himself, and then he just counts them down. He drops 3 of them, but he keeps the other one.
Yeah, because before that, he says something to Barbosa, but kind of like side eyes Will when he says, "Wait until the opportune moment."
Oh, this.
But then, Will sees him pawn one of them. Oh, yeah, this is a great scene.
This is your money shot right here.
Yeah.
I kind of hate that the part of that was in the trailer.
Yeah. Some of the concept art for that scene has sharks swimming with them. It's kind of cool.
And I like this shift from the moonlight under the shadow of the boat. And these guys.
They make these 2 guys dress up like women.
And they have the parasol, so we don't have to have them turn into skeletons, which is fun. And,
that's actually clever.
They've thought, well, they know their limitations. But what I thought was cool about this scene was that because Norrington doesn't do what they expect him to do, he's showing that he's a fairly canny seaman who's fairly, he's got relative potency. He's not like a joke. In later movies, maybe he might be, but we're really building up our hero by having him have worthy adversary. Like, if your adversary is a loser, aka the Star Wars prequels, like, what does that bring you to overcome them? Nothing.
Yeah. And this is kind of where like the movie crosses a little bit more into horror, because it's just like it's not graphic in its violence, but they're just straight offing people in like zombie skeleton monster form.
I have a bullet point for this part. It says, "And this is when the movie pretends to be The Fog."
You should have and I like the idea of making that point as he's sailing, looking angry in that little dress. That's The Fog.
Yeah, I had it timed out perfectly. That was my comic timing and not a coincidence at all.
I like how they're rowing to the boat. Yoo-hoo!
By the way, every time we see their sort of hoard here in the cave, it kind of lends to this. Does anyone else think that like maybe all the treasures here, and here it is, here it is. This is. I'm going to do something I rarely do. I'm going to turn on my camera, but I have something here that maybe.
See what I'm thinking while you get that turned on. I'm thinking that Jack Sparrow might be seeking Marajaha from Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh, geez. Oh, yeah, you're right.
No, nice.
Nice.
That's cool.
You know, I could tell you more about it if only you spoke Bovita.
I'm just saying that the one that Jack picked up is got a couple of assets that one doesn't have.
Yeah.
It's stylistically different because this is merchandising for Lucas already at this point. So what they're doing is they're kind of like tipping their hat to him without defaming him, and they're not running out trying to sell him. This is when filmmakers had mutual regard. We're generally good artists, and whether or not they were good people, like they would do a homage to another filmmaker. Like we see some things in this movie that are more associated with Spielberg with the very long shots.
Speaking of Indiana Jones and zombie monkeys.
Like, ah. The monkey's like, oh, it didn't work.
Oh no.
It's Davy Jones now, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, these guys are all ready to like feast as soon as the curse is lifted.
Yeah.
I thought that was brilliant. That would be because they talked earlier about how they haven't eaten in forever. I'd have a lot of booze ready to go and maybe some other things.
Locked up on 1, 2, come at you like a spider monkey.
Oh, this is funny. It's like, that's my wig. Give my wig back. And he breaks the hand off.
By the way, I do highly recommend watching this movie with riff tracks at least once. It's really funny.
Good night,
See
Penny.
ya, Penny.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, later, Penny.
Not
that was the expression on my
anymore.
face the first time I got a physical. Like, what the?
This, even though I saw, when I watched this in theaters, even though I saw him, palm that one coin, still, when he stumbled into the light, this was a fantastic revelation.
Oh, yeah.
In the fact that he looks at his hand and is like, oh, like he didn't know for a fact that would happen. It was a gamble on his part.
And he's seen Top Gun because that's an Iceman move.
Yeah.
Or Tombstone, take your pick.
Mm-hmm. Well, and now what's going to happen between him and Barbossa? They're like both immortal. They're just going to fight for eternity.
Fight forever.
Which he basically tells
them.
They
wonder
about
like,
that. What are we going to do here?
Yeah.
Like,
I love the fighting too.
Locked in
to where they're
battle
going
till
from
the end of
shadow
time and trumpet sound. It's like, oh,
to
you
where they're going from shadow to light, and it's like, so they did such a great job.
They really did, and I mean, it's not like it was the old days of CG and motion tracking, but it was still early enough that to switch from one to the other so seamlessly, like they did in this movie, is still impressive.
Really impressive.
Yeah,
it's still pre. Is this 99 or 98?
No, that's 2003.
This one's 03. Okay, so it's after all the Lord of the Rings movie.
It's the same.
The Hobbit.
It came out the same year as Return of the King.
So he can't. He can't be cross influenced by this, as someone had said earlier. It's just.
No. Return of the King. They had gotten a demo. They had seen a demo from I think ILM or whoever put this together. I think it was ILM did Pirates. So you can actually listen to them talk about this on Lord of the Rings special features. They see what the Pirates looked like, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, it looks amazing!" And that influenced how they portrayed the army of the dead in Return of the King.
I mean, because it was still early enough that it,
to be honest,
but that's a whole other thing.
To be honest, it looks better here than on Return of the King.
Oh, it definitely does. It's not even close.
Oh, yeah.
They're really not that close. I mean,
No.
because like I said, like this was kind of finished, and they didn't exactly hit the reset button for Return of the King. They were just like, we need to doctor it up a little bit so we can at least try to make it look good. And granted, it's a different type of figure you've got going in Return of the King. They're actually ghosts.
Yeah, it's different style.
Like, really, the only part of the ghost thing in Return of the King that maybe looks a little awkward is the additional scenes they added with them. Those don't look quite right, whereas the other ones, they still hold up really well, I think.
Dempsey, I'm never going to pick Carn Island.
I mean, this is still early enough that motion capture was still inaccurate enough that it involved a lot of individual CGI artists going in and matching the actors' movements to, especially going from a plate of, Jeffrey Rush and Johnny Depp going in and out of the light. Whatever motion tracking they have, they still have to match it up to those specific moments, and they did a fantastic job. I mean, just doing a scene where it's just the skeleton guys by themselves, that's one thing. It's, it requires skill and talent and tech, but that's a lot different level than switching back and forth between live action and skeleton and back to live action, et cetera, et cetera.
I'm going to just take first of all, good point, but perhaps what we have to remember is there's probably trickery and CGI and traditional stagecraft all in the same, not the same scene, but the same shot. The same shot, you know what I mean? So there's there's a guy standing just out of frame, like eating a Zagnut bar too. That's obviously going on through this whole thing.
So I think you alluded to this earlier, Teague. We get to this. It's the way that this scene plays out is great because Barbosa
it's a little
points
bit
his pistol.
To the future.
He points his pistol at Elizabeth, and you just hear the boom, and. Mm-hmm. You see,
which I like that trope. I don't have a problem with that, where the one person has the gun, but someone else unexpectedly fires, and we have this weird moment. It works. It still works every time.
But if I'm gonna nitpick one thing in this movie, they suggested, if not outright said, that the coins had to be returned to the chest with blood paid before the curse was lifted. So that would suggest that he got shot, then Will dropped the coins, then the curse was lifted, and then he started to bleed out, which I guess kind of works if they.
It does work. It does work.
If they take damage,
are we willing
I can prove this in film. So when she stabs him earlier, there is blood on that knife. So I think the impression we're supposed to get is they do heal quickly, in all likelihood. But they take initial damage, so he dropped that in time to where it's like, okay, now the damage is it's not healing.
Okay.
No, it probably healed up a little bit, like in that short, brief time, but he dropped it quick enough so it's like,
it's true. You know what?
Good point. I hadn't thought of that.
He was ready to be hit by a bullet, so that explains that. He's nonplussed by it because this is like time 3000 that he's been shot. He's been doing this like Iron Man routine for like 10 years. And he's like, he feels the impact. It hurts a little like it usually does. And then, the thing is that the treasure, like, it is returned because it's within the chamber designated for the treasure to be. And he simply has it. It's returned. It's just like, I don't like, I get what you're saying. Like, it's a little bit out of sequence.
Yeah, no, I hadn't thought of that before about him getting actually stabbed and showing blood on it.
I mean, that is a good explanation. That is probably Chekhov's gun getting loaded.
It's really good because Jack gets to use the round that he's carried for so long. Barbosa realizes Barbosa realizes he's shot and he's dying, but he's not mad about it because he's at peace. But at the same time, as he dies, he drops that apple, which tells you he was looking forward to finally taking a bite and enjoying a piece of fruit.
Yes.
Well, there's that duality of he's feeling for the first time. so there's a bit of ecstasy to it, but then he's like, "Oh, I'm dying." You know,
it's pain. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's been at least 8 years, because 8 years was when Will was set adrift with the medallion, so it could have been longer since he's actually felt like real feelings. But like all these guys, like realizing, looking around their compatriots, realizing that, oh, you're not a skeleton. Oh crap!
When he drops the apple too, that's him losing his grip on any tenuous grip that he had on life. Like it's gone. His chance to be human again, it's gone. He's lost the fruit of the tree of life. It's gone. And they do it more effectively than they did it in Godfather 3, and allegedly a much more serious movie where Michael dies in a similar way. And we all laughed because it was a terrible film.
I love that part. He's like, oh, that was the opportune moment, mate.
Yeah.
If you were looking for the opportune moment, that was it.
See, the weird thing is I've been in Jack's shoes more often than I've been in Will's shoes more often than Jack's right there. Where I tell my buddies, like, dude, go talk to her. And I've never had my buddy who's been like, dude, go talk to her. Look, I'm an idiot. Somebody needs to tell me. Come on.
Return the favor. Somebody return the favor.
That's fine. Yeah, this is Jack's reward. It's like, that first look when we get back to it, and he's just like disappointed. Oh, dang it.
It's like all that. It's like he helped.
This is what I get.
Of course, then they're going over his crimes, and he laughs about being impersonating a priest. It's like, oh yeah.
This part is great. All the charges are hilarious. By the way, is it 2 or 3 where we go a bit too far in a few places with this exact same thing by like hanging a younger person?
That's
like
the beginning of 3.
Yeah, that movie's too grim.
Well, it makes sense as far as what the. I mean,
it's true.
It's far more grim. Like that's it's just totally
historically accurate, but we didn't need that.
There's a nice little thing before, you see the fancy hat, and then you see Will, but you also see the parrot, which makes the fact that later on, whenever he jumps over the wall and the pearl is there, it's not a super coincidence that they just happen to show up. It seems planned. It's a nice little touch to have that parrot show up.
My note here is all Robin Hood movies ever.
Yeah. Well, if it was a Robin Hood movie, he would have thrown his sword through the rope. But it's close.
If it were a great parody, he would have thrown it and it would have gone right through his ankles or something. He'd be like,
I like that Will's got like full on like 3 Musketeers with a feather and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a redneck that's won the lottery and tries to look nice. And I say that as a redneck.
Yeah. You give him a nice like purple coat. He's a pimp.
He looks like Ramirez from Highlander.
It's like
he does.
Yeah, it's like hearing all these stories of cowboys, and you get all your clothes to dress up like a cowboy, and you go out with all the other cowboys, and you're not dressing like the cowboys.
Or Django's first outfit in that movie where he shows up dressed like Little Boy Blue.
Cowboy.
Jacob, that is 98% of the people who go to the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. They have brand new hats, brand new boots. No one has ever seen mud or a horse, and you can tell.
No, yeah.
That's why I'm sending you boots and a hat to age for me for when I go there, because that's on my to-do list before I die.
Yeah, just wear the boots, beard, wear the boots while you do lawn work.
Yeah, you just have to
they'll be aged.
Put some miles on them.
I would wear this wig to a rodeo. That's what I'd do.
This is a good touch.
I'd wear the governor's wig. It'd be like, 8 seconds. Oh, that's nothing.
It's just a nice touch because they're going after Jack, and Will's already standing in front of them, and they're like, okay, look, we pardoned you for what you did, even though what he did was piracy, so he should hang. And then she stands up and is like, well, you're gonna have to go through me too. And look, as much as I think that I agree. Norrington's arc is better over 3 movies. His arc in this movie is just okay.
He's flat. He's
but
flat.
here at the end, he does show a little bit of character development because
they absolutely they know that unless this character has some competence and we can respect him, that nothing Jack. So he beat a freaking idiot. So we have to give Norrington some honor. And I like Norrington. I think he's really well played. But did you notice that when we showed Jack talking to people, everyone's reacting badly to his breath? They're flinching away and in pain. I'm serious. Like the governor was like, oh.
Well, I mean, A, have you seen his teeth? And B, that hair and those dreadlocks don't happen because he just wants a style.
The robot chicken thing where they show him finally getting with Keira Knightley, and he's just got like maggots crawling over him. She's like, maybe this is a bad idea. I want to rethink this.
I want to point something out. When the British first started using muskets, they didn't have the bayonet on the front. They had
a plug bayonet,
a rifle, right? a musketman, and one of these guys with a spear next to him to defend the musket.
Huh.
The musketeer.
That remains in service later because you know what that is actually for? Sergeants later in the American War for Independence, they used those. They turned them sideways to push their guys forward, and they could stab them if they tried to run away. So it goes through a couple of iterations. Yeah,
that's nice.
Yeah, that is like a known American Revolution thing. That he would be a sergeant by virtue of having that.
Okay.
Well, I guess maybe that fits because the two doofuses also get wigs once they get to the end of the movie, which I guess means that they've stepped up in their stature.
Well, this is a little bit of a ceremonial moment, right? So we have everybody with their finery, and
I was rooting for you, mate. Know that.
I like this part. He's like,
this
is the day you almost
Elizabeth. It never would have worked between us.
Captain Jack Sparrow.
Except this time, like he like falls over. Like all this time we've had that bravado and that confidence. Right at the very end, he's like, "Well, I was going to jump, but I didn't mean to at right this moment." It's like it perfectly encapsulates who he is. It's like he has a plan, but it usually doesn't go with the way he plans.
It's better to be lucky than good. And let's just face it, she looks beautiful here.
This is fantastic. Where he tells him, the person who crafts this sword, I would expect him to take care of every aspect of his life with like such detail or something along those lines. I forget the exact words. Like he recognizes to Will, you're the person who made this sword and it's fantastic. So I expect you to take care of Elizabeth just as well as you did this sword. And that is probably Norrington's best moment in this entire film.
Does it show he's changed because perhaps he always knew this and now he was not willing to acknowledge it? He was a nobody to him and a
I don't
rival.
know. Honestly, no.
And now he's a very worthy adversary. Okay,
I don't think he knew. I really don't. I think he had ignored him genuinely.
He's like, thanks for the +1 sword, bro. Fair enough.
I think he might have known, but just didn't care because of.
I think in that society, class means so much that he probably thought, this guy's not really a rival to me. So
we got one person no, one person yes, and one person on the fence. That means whatever Jacob says is what happened.
He might have been aware that Will has feelings for her. He could have obviously noticed. We know he noticed that. He said
we know he watches Elizabeth Swann. He's been like, he was like, oh, she's 16 now. I'm gonna get back to Tortuga and take another look at that.
After she was taken by the pirates, Will comes in there and says we need to go after her and gets really mad and
that's what I was talking about.
Takes the axe and puts the axe in the table. So I think he knew that they had feelings. I think.
He knew that he had feelings for her. That's why I was saying he knows that Will has feelings, but I still don't think
he knew.
I'm just saying, up to that point, I doubt that he ever saw Will as a romantic rival. He might have started to at that point, but we got to remember this is only over the course of a couple.
I gotta think that he knows enough about Elizabeth to know where her heart is. Like he's in love with her and he's not dumb. So I don't know. I feel like on all planes, if we don't consider Norrington a worthy adversary, we level down all Hero's accomplishments. Like, he's out like romance, even though he's a decently romantic guy. He's handsome. He's got a great career. He's got a future in this empire. And you one day you could be Lady Norrington. He's going places until he meets these people.
I was saying in reverse. I don't think Norrington saw Will as a rival. Will absolutely saw him as okay. I mean, he might have even felt already defeated. Like, well, she's going to end up with Norrington.
You know what? He's keeping his expectations low, but I do feel Norrington has a special kind of disdain for Will. That like he knows this thing. And he likes to twist the knife a little. At the beginning of the movie, he's kind of much more of a dismissive jerk, and by the end, he's like, "I'm not going to dismiss people who are below me out of hand. I'm still going to socially climb, and I want to be governor too one day, but maybe these people who are lesser than me are still people." That seems to be Norrington's arc in this movie as much as he gets.
Yeah,
because we're going to bring him down to a different place and back.
I think over the course of the movie, he does. I think he displays many admirable qualities. I think he's in many ways a really good character. It's like, yes, he's in a position and wears the powdered wig to where he's set up as a character we're probably not supposed to.
He earns the powdered wig. He's not a powdered wig guy when we first see him. When we first see him, he's a normal hair guy. He has moved up in status from lieutenant to commander to captain to commodore. So he's moved up pretty fast in 8 years. He's managed to rank every 2 years.
What is this?
So
what's what?
Oh, you bobbed for apples.
Don't know why. I don't know why, but that copy of Pirates doesn't have the end credit scene.
Okay.
So I was just going to play the end credit scene real quick.
I'm unfamiliar.
I don't know if I've actually waited to the... Oh, yes, I have. I remember now.
Does Amazon have this?
Probably.
Yeah.
I was aware that the monkey makes it.
Yeah, this was early enough that end credit scenes hadn't become so much the norm that you didn't always stay and watch them.
And he's he's reinvigorated.
Zombie monkey.
Okay, you know what? He's like the Gollum monkey.
Before we wrap up, R2 wanted me to show this. Featuring...
Do we need sound for this?
Yes.
Because StreamYard won't play sound.
Well, let me try. If not, you can just see it because it's a scene straight out of the movie that we just watched. It's featuring. I'm a little bit sad that Untamed Mando wasn't here because it's featuring myself, Untamed Mando, R2, and if you look hard enough, Roman of the Empire. So let me see if I can get this. R2's been playing with AI face replacement. So I hope you can hear it. If you can't, this is what we've got.
And I half expected it to be made of wood.
Oh, God.
Mando looks weird with the beard.
Without doubt, the worst pirate I've ever heard of.
I've been playing L.A. Noire in my free time, and I'm reminded of that right now.
Let me back it up just a little bit, because if you blink, you miss it. There's R2 Roman. The Icky, and there's Roman of the Empire. I don't know why my face works so good on these things. He's been using it a lot. Especially because it has to like block out the beard, but it leaves the mustache. But anyway, he wanted me to share that, so I have shared it. I've done my duty.
And the sound played just fine.
Okay, good.
Up R2.
He's been having a lot of fun with that.
Do we go around the horn and give this movie a letter grade? Because I thought it was a great movie.
If you want to, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, let's do it. Start.
All right. I'll start. You know what? Callbacks to a lot of good movies. It wasn't dishonest member burying. They were earning a lot of the emotional callbacks. I felt an authenticity to this movie. It was very fun, very real, quite enjoyable. I recommend it to everybody. It's at this point, maybe we could even say timeless about this movie. It's all the things you look. If you love Raiders of the Lost Ark, Robin Hood, and The Last of the Mohegans, you know what? You're gonna love this movie, and it also has some specific Disneyisms in it too. We give the people what we want in this movie. It's not self-important. It's aware of what it is. It's not out of its intellectual depth. In later movies, we do have a little more lore, and it's whatever you want to make of it. I like the later movies, but they're not as good as this one. This one's great. Soundtrack A+. This is why you go to the movies. I don't know if you could do much better. This is an A, maybe an A+. This is a great movie. Great performances, everything.
I guess I'll go. I think this movie is pretty fantastic. I think it's tonally consistent. It's really funny. It's exciting. It's got fantastic characters, brilliant musical score. It looks good, and 20 plus years later, holds up exceptionally well. Few issues here and there, nothing, really major. But overall, this is a great movie. So yeah, I'll score it 8.5 out of 10.
I think I probably agree with that. I am very picky about giving nines, even films that I absolutely love, because I know that I cannot approach them objectively. This movie, put up against other like top tier movies throughout history, I don't think it compares, but it knew what it wanted to be. It executed it perfectly, and all along the way still did things very well. The character introductions, just thematically, the music, the cinematography, the special effects, everything was really good, but I don't think I could necessarily put it up there with other things that are just like superior story, because the story is simple, but I'm still going to give it an 8.5 out of 10 because it knew what it wanted to do and it did it exactly that way.
Yeah. Exactly. I think Master and Commander came out the same year as this, and I would give that movie a 9. But yeah, this one 8.5. I would say 2. So yeah. All right.
A movie where I have the highest grade and unconditionally love the movie. Wow. Point out the optimist in me.
Everyone's number scores can mean different things. I don't think a 9 to Beard and a 9 to me even mean
enjoyability.
No. I used letter grades and said A+. Yeah, this movie for me is a 10, and it's just more fun to watch than Master and Commander. It does, like somebody said, it's a 2-hour movie that doesn't feel like a 2-hour movie. This is a 2-hour and 25-minute movie. This is a really fun movie. Everything is done. It's all the reasons we go to the movies. That's why I'm saying it's an A+ and a 10. Story is simple. You know what? The story of Star Wars is relatively simple.
Like I said, I agree with you because it knew exactly what it wanted to do, and what it wanted to do, it did perfectly.
Where's it fail?
Like the only comparison the only comparison I would make between this movie and Master Commander is, the similarities in the action sequences and whatnot, and the fact they both take place on the water. That's where the similarities kind of end.
Both are great. Yeah. Master and Commander is more committed to showing in their 360 view
I think
of
Master
the ship.
Commander is a better movie, but I've watched Pirates significantly more.
Master and Commander is so much more about like showing you the life on the ship and the 360 view of the deck and showing water from all angles and being out in open water from every angle that they could shoot, and it looks fantastic. And that part I like. But then like Master and Commander, it is like the middle book of a series, so it's like we have a story that starts and stops. There's no resolution. Yeah. That's my problem with Master and Commander. So I think this is still, to me, the better movie. Yeah. But I get where you're coming from.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all agree, regardless of the minutia and how we grade it, it's a fantastic movie. So
everyone here owns both movies.
Yeah.
And that's the show, people. That was I really didn't expect to go this long, but yeah, it was great. I'm glad we did and had some good discussion about it. And let's go around the horn and we'll see what people are up to. Beard.
Oh, let's see. Next thing for me is I don't know. I'll probably stream something after this, after a short break. Probably Sea of Thieves because I'm in a pirate mood. Other than that, I'll be on Roman's stream on Thursday for The Fifth Element, and I do have a roll of white duct tape over there. If you know, you know. And Roman can't be mad because he was the one that said I should do it first. Lilu cosplay coming on.
Oh no.
Oh my goodness. Ah!
But other than that, I have a link tree for all
You
the
have
other
a
things I'm on. I'm not. Yeah,
You
I do have a
have
multipass. I have a multipass. But for everything else I'm on, I'm not going to bother y'all with that. Linktree/Spirit of Liberty. It's got links to the other shows that I'm on, so we'll keep it simple and just go there.
Cool. Gourd.
Let's see. Tomorrow, obviously, I'll be doing my last gaming stream of the week, playing Mass Effect 2. Still, actually, be finishing that game up. Then, hoping by Friday, I will have my next poorly explained video ready. I am doing the 2024 Crow. Script is done. Editing is about to begin on that. So, hopefully, it's probably not going to be a super long video. Like, I'm guessing somewhere between, like, I don't know, 12 to 15 minutes, maybe. So, hoping I can have that ready by Friday. And after that, I guess MMM next week. What are we covering again? I almost forgot. It's like, what even are we covering on MMM? Hang on, I gotta look it up real quick because I've already.
Oh, good. I'm not the only one that's a bad co-host that constantly forgets what I'm reviewing.
We do a lot of. Oh yeah, we're doing Warrior. That's the one we're doing. We're doing a Warrior with Tom Hardy. That's our next one. Which that'll be a lot of fun. So yeah, that's what I got going.
Cool. Teak.
I put my link in the private chat. If you could, someone with the wrench could throw it into the regular chat, guys. I am a sociopath. My name is Admiral Teague. Tomorrow, I will be breaking legs for all the people who owe me money on the Jets game. Falsely claiming the Jets lost this game is not going to keep the money out of my hands. I will be around. And tomorrow, at some point, I will be exposing the NFL's conspiracy to suppress the outcomes of the Jet games. What we saw the other day was a simulation and a farce. It was nothing but a pack of absolute lies. I also have a show called Saving Star Trek, where on Saturday nights you can see Teague's Intense Trek Show to an episode of Star Trek. We're doing Enterprise. And oh, by the way, if you know Star Trek and you want to be a panelist on the show, we're looking for co-hosts.
Cool.
And please like my Yellowstone video. It could use a couple of likes.
Alrighty. And for me next week, doing another long movie, Ben-Hur, I think it's 1959, I believe. I will double check, but yeah, we'll be doing that next week. I just trying to look up, see how long. Yes, it's a 3-hour movie.
Lord.
Yeah,
Ben-Hur.
It has an intermission.
Are you sure it's only 3?
It does.
I want to see you guys give your thoughts to that 8 to 10 minute intermission where they were just playing music. It's just like, yep, the intermission here. Now, what my thought here is it's spelled correctly. I like the font. It's just like 10 seconds forward. It's like, consistency here is the key.
I'm assuming that I'm going to be there because I just show up, and if there's a space, I show up, and that will be a first watch for me. And I did not know it was 3 hours.
3 hours and
pretty
30
good
minutes.
At least
3:30. It's
you probably
get
like
like
20
Lord
minutes
of the Rings
of
the budget on this movie is huge. You're going to enjoy it.
The middle part.
It's a genuinely
you'll
fantastic.
You'll really
movie,
enjoy it.
Ben-Hur is amazing.
I've heard a lot of good things.
Great movie.
Don't worry,
by
we're
its
going
time,
to go
but in that way, it's a beautiful document too.
So we're not going to be there for 5 hours.
See, the problem with this movie was there's just so many good quotable lines in like scenes that are just fun to talk about.
That's why I run the movie through the Cosme. I know that I'm slave to at least the time of the movie to get it done. It's like it forces me to have some kind of brevity.
Yes, and I just have to go over this again. The Fifth Element on Roman show. I mean, It's going to be great. Come by. It'll be
Duct
fun.
tape.
White duct tape.
If you know,
I
you
don't
know.
envy you taking that off.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
I'm gonna double side it so it doesn't have to stick on the chest here. Let me tell you.
That's good. That's
What was it
good.
like when he
I've
directed
thought this through.
What was it like for Luc Besson to direct the scene that had both his wife and his girlfriend in it? Did he feel like
Sometimes-
he's like, I'm the man. I'm the
Sometimes you
fucking
just
man.
don't ask. Sometimes you just don't ask questions because sometimes the answers aren't what you think they are.
Yeah, you don't want to know about that one. But
Yeah.
that's a
So
great
anywho,
movie.
thanks to the people that were in the chat and hung with us, and thanks to the people on the panel. And remember, if you're negotiating with pirates, be specific.